Let's see. Do 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 do. All right, I think we're live. What do we got here? Lyrics. I don't need lyrics. Anybody got time for lyrics? All right, let's turn the voice up. Hey, yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, we're a little late today, but my life is complicated. I'm lucky I'm even here. Um, how's it going? I see a few people on Facebook. How's my Facebook people? Give me a sound check. Do you hear me? Do you hear the sound of my voice? Let's go to comments here. Benny Rodriguez. What's up, Benny? Tra! Benny in the house. Benny, I was talking about you the other day. Were your ears burning? I know that without that special cream, other parts of you were burning, but was your ears burning, bro? I was talking to Jody about the Mahavishnu Fest. Remember that down here? And it was in Raleigh or Durham, Raleigh, somewhere. And you and I were talking about that not long ago, but let's talk about it with Jody, my main man. And I was saying, yeah, Benny and Jan drove down. So how's everyone doing? We've got, a couple of things on the agenda today. There is, we've really been on a roll, and I'm going to start right out with something I've been reporting on almost every week. These new products. I mean, it's really. I'm thinking back to the little 18-year-old vegetarian, and going shopping at. Let me turn that up a little bit. Shopping in my little store, my little supermarket in Matawan, New Jersey, Hazlet, New Jersey. All these horrible little towns that I grew up in. Here's that article. Okay, great. So, and sometimes people say it was so rough for them growing up and trying to be vegetarian and all that. It really, I never had a problem. I was lucky. My mom really liked fruits and vegetables, and she cooked a lot of stuff. And then, and when I told her I was not going to eat animal flesh, she was fantastic. She just did all these cool, basically side dishes. She was really great with side dishes, and she, that's it. She would just say, okay, he's gonna make a bigger amount of this chickpea dish or this wonderful spinach thing, or I consumed dairy at the time, so she would do that, the thing that every mom, black, white, Asian, Central American, South American, whether you were from Lesotho or Dublin or Bangor, Maine, or Detroit, it seemed once you were in the United States, you had this green bean casserole, right? And it was so simple because you got three things at the supermarket, plus some salt and pepper and all that. But you got a can or two of cream of mushroom soup, some frozen green beans, and those onions, those crispy onions from French brand and so there's other brands, I think. And it's just onions, deep fried and breaded. And that was it. What an amazingly simple and vegetarian dish, as long as the brand of mushroom soup that you choose doesn't have chicken stock. But I remember she very quickly kind of identified that and said, "Oh, there's no meat in that." So she that was like a thing. She would do that like off season, like off Thanksgiving. Um, I'm just a little distracted because I'm trying to find this article while I do this. So, yeah, so that was great. And then all kinds of other things. As many of you know, we were born in Guyana. When she was born, it was British Guyana. And it's a mostly African descent and Indian descent country. And Indian as in from India. Um, and so the food is amazing because you had this mix of actually um, different African diaspora. You had Indian food, and then you had Portuguese food. There's a lot of Portuguese people there from the sailors and stuff like that. You had a lot of English food, different cakes and sweet things, and things like the Cornish pasties that were turned into, or pasties that were turned into our own thing. So it was a really cool cuisine with a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit and vegetables. So I really, my long-winded story here is to just say that I was lucky. I was fortunate that I had the attitude to just go to the supermarket and find stuff. I had a mom and a stepdad. My stepdad actually had died then, right? So it was just my mom. I had a mom who was great and we didn't miss a beat. There was no lectures or where do you get your protein or all this bullshit that I still hear. She was just like, yeah, let's do this. No problem. She knew vegetarians in her life. And so I had a really good, but also getting back to the kind of, what's the word? The retail side of it. I was, the supermarket, which was Food Town, I think it was, Food Town and Pathmark. Does anyone know those brands? I think they were kind of Northeast oriented. But I would just go through and look at ingredients and just really, I learned so much there about what does this mean? And I remember early on I bought a book, like a dictionary of ingredients, something like that. And it had everything in it, calcium propionate or, propylene glycol and things like that are not as bad as they sound. It had all that, but then it also had things like guar gum, carrageenan. Again, things that sound a little scary, but they're not. They're just plant gums and, starches. So very early on, I kind of got into this thing of like, wow, let's read the ingredients, man. Try to say this word. And I just found a rich amount of great vegetarian food. It was right there in the supermarket. I learned how to cook brown rice and make Mexican dishes from scratch. And I learned Chinese stir fries. I bought a wok. I got all this stuff. I got the New York Times Natural Foods Cookbook, which I remember was not all vegetarian, but it had a vegetarian chapter or two and lots of things you could easily modify. And that cookbook, I have it somewhere with a little piece of paper stuck in it. But I really just jumped in and said, you've got to learn how to cook some of these things. So I say all that to say I never would have thought that a place like McDonald's or Wendy's, let's see what else was around. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips was around. That's no longer around. But we have other things like that. We have Kentucky Fried Chicken. Then it was called Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now it's KFC. There was, whatever, all these American chains. But the big ones, Burger King and McDonald's, never would have thought. And I say this often lately as it ramps up. As these companies are going past the dilettante stage, right? They're going past having one item or two items. They're really seriously now addressing the bread. Is it vegan? And beyond whether it's vegan, which really at this point is just the starting point, like Chipotle, companies are now looking at, are we using cottonseed oil? Are we using GMO this or that, tomatoes? Mexico, the country of Mexico just did a big move against GMO corn. Did you all see this? Plant-based elixir. Today, coffee. It's often tea, but today it's coffee. My first cup of the day, actually. Ah, the Colombian nectar. I forget where this is. This might be Ethiopian or Colombian. But the what's going on now with these companies? Again, it's gone past. Oh, we have a burger, and right, because even 10 years ago, some of these places tried a burger, and it had shitty ingredients in it. They weren't vegan. They'd have eggs and milk and skim milk and things, and then just weird artificial things in them. But to see them now going, you know what? Let's look at what's in. Yes, we have a vegan mayo now. We get it. We get it. We can't put a vegan burger and then lather it in butter and mayo. Like, okay, we understand what you mean. They're listening. They're understanding. And it's confusing to some people at first, including at the corporate boardroom level. Ah, that's hot as a motherfucker. So, yeah. So, just kind of open commentary on just remarkable what how these numbers are moving. So we talked a bunch last week about who had it? Oh well, the McPlant burger arrived, and then Arby's has something, and then I saw Taco Bell. Taco Bell is doing Impossible ground beef type stuff, in the tacos, in the burritos, things like that. Wow, so it's just kind of incredible. So let's see here. So many things to to share. The Rod of Iron Ministries. We might talk about that. Is that the new thing from the son of Reverend Moon? Did you all see this? That's right. If you liked Reverend Moon, if you liked all the hits from Reverend Moon, you can rest assured that the next generation is here, and we now have the son of Reverend Moon with his own church. So we might take a look at that. How I fit it into natural foods, we'll see. We'll see as we get there. But I just know if anyone could do it, I'm a candidate. So a couple things. I want to talk about salmonella too. Look, we take the good with the bad, and right now there's these onions that you don't want to eat, right? I just baked some onions. They were badass. But we have right now 125 hospitalizations, 0 deaths, but it covers 37 states, and there's a recall of, and they know exactly what, it's the specific onions from the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. Our Chihuahua was not happy to hear this, but it's either from ProSource Produce LLC or Keeler Family Farms. So they've got, this is also interesting too. This is, me, that everything's politics. Everything, folks. I don't care what you say. Get out of here if you have a problem with that, because it is. There's nothing in your life from the minute you walk out of your house, get into your car, or walk to the bus or the train or something like that. Politics is involved. Safety rules are involved that somebody lobbied for or somebody advocated for. It's often that somebody lobbied against. But politics means that you can flip the lights on, right? Regulated utility rates wherever you live in the United States of America, whether they're high or they're low, we all think they should be lower. All of these things are politics. Some politicians sat there and let these rat bastard motherfuckers raise the rates. And I could say that generally because that's true everywhere. But politics is it's everywhere all the time. And I'm sorry if it bugs some people. It bugs me that it bugs you. But this is the system working, because the fact that we know which company it's from, the name of the company, and the source, you go back to all those annoying codes that are on things, and even down to when you scan stuff at the supermarket and a sale is made. This is going into computers. They're, of course, looking at things for marketing reasons. Oh, we're selling more of this flavor or that. Oh, the 2-gallon one is quite popular right now before this holiday. All kinds of algorithms are running. on our consumption. But one of the things is our safety. The system fucking works. It's a rickety system because now someone's gonna say, "Oh, Andre thinks that the man is perfect." Man, I'm getting, not much makes me angry, but those motherfuckers get me so fucking angry. They'll possibly be the source of my heart attack. These people that you can't say anything without them taking it to a ridiculous extreme. You know who I'm talking about, and some of them were on my thread earlier about a COVID death. But no, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying I love the FDA. I'm not saying I'll do whatever they want because I'm a sheeple. I'm saying that even a decently operative system, how's that? You, all right, let me just stay positive. The show just started. Let me back up and say, even a moderately operable system like our FDA, I'm happy that they catch some shit sometimes. And so whether it's onions or beef or chicken or broccoli or lettuce, things get contaminated. And there are inspectors. And yes, people are getting paid off. And yes, people are fucking it up like they did, whoever was supposed to inspect that cold gun for Alec Baldwin. People don't do their jobs always. I know that. This time, we came, kind of close. So it's funny. I'm on the CDC site though, and speaking of fuck ups, I'm reading from the CDC. It says on October 22nd, 2022, Keeler Family Farms of Deming, New Mexico recalled whole onions, red, white, and yellow. So they got the date wrong. But this is the kind of stuff the conspiracy people, they look at that and they go, "See, it proves they're planning it for next year, man. Give me another hit on that jewel. What do you call those things? Give me your vape pen because I don't know what's in the vaccine, but I'm smoking this vape pen." I don't know why that guy is the cartoon character from Bugs Bunny. Who's that guy with the mustache? I don't know. I don't know why my anti-vax guy is him today. But rootin' tootin'. It just happens to go there. Oh man, I'm having some fun, and the caffeine has just begun. What the hell was that guy's name? Someone help me out. Bugs Bunny. I love the internet. Yosemite Sam. There it is. Rootin' tootin'. I don't know what's in this vaccine, Bugs. I might turn into Daffy. I mean, it's that ridiculous, isn't it, folks? It's that random. It's that psychedelic. Just grabbing for shit. Just plugging it in, right? This has been the most fascinating. A certain rock star who I can't quote right now. I got to find out if he's okay making this public. But a certain giant rock star who, I'm not just dropping names. I work with giant rock stars. But I got to find out if this person's okay. But this person said this thing started out a pandemic and ended up an IQ test. Wow, that is so good, right? It started out a pandemic and ended up an IQ test. So, Yosemite Sam, I think he's going to be the the mascot of today's. So as usual, I invite you, anti-vaxxer people and you deniers and everything, come on the show. Come on. Well, it's now, what's today? The 25th. 3 weeks ago, we had a wonderful young man. What was his name? Nate, I think. Nate. And I really, so many people have reached out to me after watching him, and I applaud him now as I did then for his politeness and he was just a humble young guy. And what I like is that he acknowledged the many times, unfortunately it was many, many, many times, when I would say, "Well, where'd you hear that?" And he would often say, "Well, I'm turning it to Yosemite Sam." He would say, a guy sent it to me, and he would get a little flustered, and I held his hand through that. I said, "Bro, it's okay. Don't be nervous. I'm not going to attack you, and I'm not going to diss him here. I mean, I'm not going to say anything that's not right on the tape, which is right here on my Facebook or my YouTube. Go to October 4th." And I kind of said, "Well, where'd you hear that incredibly spurious thing that you just said?" And he would say, half a dozen times, he'd be flustered. He couldn't remember. He'd say, I got my friend, a friend sent it to me, and I can't remember. And I'd say, but I just showed you something from Yale Medical or the New York Times or Nature or whatever it was. And I'd say, but you're skeptical of that. Like I said, walk me through. You're skeptical of what 6 scientists have said from the top research facilities around the world, but some guy that you can't remember is what you're planting your flag there. So I just thought that was interesting. So hey, look, I'm open-minded. If anyone wants to come on and talk about the boosters or any of these things, come on my show. Just tell me in the chat, and I'll pull you right on. So let's say hi to some folks, and then we'll get back to Salmonella. And I think I made my point, though, that if you don't know this, go Google the onion thing. And if you happen to be somebody who, one of these companies, they give all the brands, they give all the, it's red, white, and yellow onions. So be careful, because Salmonella is a motherfucker, Yeah, because viruses are real things. Some of your symptoms may be diarrhea and a fever higher than 102, diarrhea for more than 3 days that's not improving, bloody diarrhea, or as the Brits would say, bloody diarrhea. So much vomiting that you cannot keep liquids down. Actually, so far, it's just being British. Signs of dehydration, such as not peeing much, dry mouth and throat, feeling dizzy when standing up. That's been my whole day. Uh-oh. But, no, I had onions the other day, but I roasted them. So, but Salmonella, it's a fascinating thing, because at some point, it's a bacteria. It's not a virus, it's a bacteria. And at some point, it's because of, bad hygiene and jumping over contaminated water, right? From animals, from feces, right? So either the water or the animals walking around, or there's a fertilizer thing where the fertilizer wasn't sterilized or composted properly, or just being out in the dirt, right? Being in the farm and messing around, and that's okay. I think it's good that humans should get pathogens into our bodies and get stronger. So, Salmonella, yeah, big thing. All right, so let's see who's here. Kathy Starkey, how are you, my friend? Good to see you here. It's an honor to have Kathy here. And she's prompting me to sing The Police. Thank you, Kathy. The do, the da, that's all I want to say to you. Wow, that's actually the right key. Don't say, blah, 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 blah. I don't know the words. I don't even know the song. But you can always request me to sing things. It's funny you say that, Kathy, because I've been on a police binge. October 1st was the 40th anniversary of Ghost in the Machine, and I blew it. I was going to do a whole thing about it, but been a little busy. And but I listened to it the other day. What a fucking brilliant album. And that album came out within days of Crimson Discipline. I remember I was 16. I had those 2 records. Still do. Probably owned 6 copies. And I remember, man, you knew that, wow, the future, something, listen to this music. It's futuristic. So anyway, thanks for referencing The Police. I also listened to Regatta de Blanc yesterday, and I'll probably do some more. Police are like my Beatles. The Beatles are my Beatles, but the Police are also my Beatles. So thank you, Kathy. remember, this is a natural foods show about eating more plant-based, but it's also a free association, psychedelic nightmare for right-wing people because we're gonna go there. No, it's kind of free form, and I'm in a relaxed / caffeinated mood. Buenos días, ¿cómo está mi hermano? Necesito practicar mi español con usted. I do. I need to practice that shit because might have to escape this place and go to Argentina or Uruguay. Those are high on the list. So help me. Sharon Lynn Baker, how are you? Sharon's here. Kathy Starkey is here again. Dan Cortell, how are you, my friend? It's been a while. Elliot Aitken, good to see you too. Just some people stopping by that have not. Yes, Raleigh Durham is where that was. Elliot is asking, have I seen any Todd shows this tour? My heart is breaking, Elliot, because on October 10th was the closest that wonderful planet orbited close to us. He and the band were in Atlanta, and we just couldn't make it happen. 3.5 hour ride each way, and just not feeling the crowds yet. Not feeling sitting there with a mask and negotiating all the bullshit. I don't know. If we had looked into a little bit more, and wasn't a busy week, quite possibly. So my heart breaks because I love the Individualist album. I saw that tour in '95 when he first, released that record. Brilliant record. And what's the other record he's doing? Wizard of True Star, I think. One side or both sides. Two of my Bible level records, man. I mean, so it's a little heartbreaking, but I've seen dozens and dozens of Todd shows, and I have to accept that you can't see them all. But did you? Tell me how it went. A friend of mine's on the crew, so I've been getting little snippets of video and little things. But we love Todd, and I was fortunate to work with Todd. I worked with him for about 10 days or so, rehearsal and 2 little shows in Los Angeles, and then 2 shows in Iceland. So I love Todd, and I've gotten to chat and travel and hang out with him a bit. Kim Clune, wow, what a beautiful surprise. How are you, my friend? So good. It puts a smile on my face, literally. I have not seen you in ages. It's funny, I thought of you like a couple days ago, and we were both completely clothed, and I saw pictures of the egg. Remember the egg time when you were like walking by with some photography people? And totally random. It was that day. Somebody put it up. It was Yes on tour, and someone put a picture up of the Yes bus next to the egg, which is a dramatic shot. And I thought, wow, I haven't seen Kim or Tim since then. 'Cause I think y'all came to the show. But great to hear from you. I'm glad that the green bean casserole is one of Tim's go-to dishes. It's great. It's great. And easily veganized. I mean, all you got to do is the mushroom soup, which is very easy to be vegan. Benny, really? Is there a video of this Abstract Logics? Thank you. Pathmark memories, yes. Sharon says, speaking of beans and gas, yeah, Rick Wakeman, the butt of his jokes. Yeah, he's still a 12-year-old. That must have been in England, huh, Sharon? Yeah, okay. So it was baked beans, English beans. Oh, no, it was at the Birchmere. He's in the States. Okay, gotcha. Robin Renee, how are you? So, yes, the Impossible Whopper. I did read that there's a completely vegan option you can get. Yes, they understand that finally. So, yeah, I mean, again, right, like you, I'm not driving over there, but were I to be stuck in Kansas on an 18-hour drive and we roll in, I still probably would have it. But I'm almost every project I work in, there's 3, 4, 5 vegetarians. When I tour with the band, yes, my boss, Steve Howe, is a occasional fish. So he's a pescatarian. The singer is a pescatarian. The keyboard tech is, I think, pescatarian also. but pretty much vegetarian. Who else? There's like someone else on. Oh, the front of house guy who is often on here, Dean, the front of house person, the uh, our meet and greet coordinators, pescatarian. So it's pretty amazing. Like it's this little tribe. I know I'm forgetting someone else. I apologize, but my point is when we roll into a place, yeah, somebody always gets these kinds of things, and we get to get a review of it. So if anyone's tried these things, let us know. That's why we're here. Scott says Yosemite Sam, and then everyone joins in. Yosemite Sam, thank you. Your memories are better than mine. I had to fucking Google it. But rootin' tootin', I ain't taking no vaccine. You varmints, I don't know what's in it. I just don't know what's in it. Give me a whiskey sour, barkeep. I don't care what's in it. Give me one of those. Play that out of tune piano. You know, folks, I'm not even on drugs. It's like, but I'm accessing a different level of what my brain is when it's tired. No, I'm absolutely. I haven't taken drugs in quite some time. I'm all for drugs, but I haven't taken any. Indifference quotient. Okay, someone's mom sends him anti-vax weird anti-vax stuff. Yeah, he's got a blocker. That's great. Eric Svalgard's here. How are you, my friend? The dude was totally unprepared. Yeah, I think he was unprepared though. With all due respect, I'm just average, I think, and he was unprepared for anybody outside of his encouragement circle, as we can call it. That's a shame, right? And Eric knows more than anyone here. I critique the left just as much on this same shit. Lefties, progressives, liberals, Democrats, you're all fucked up. Those of you who don't ever watch anything outside of your little bubble. That shit is fucked up. It is, man. And when you say to people, well, can you just watch this interview on Fox? I can't take it. I just can't. I can't even watch it. Well, then that's why we'll keep losing. Because unless you can strategize and look at the other side, and there is another side, unless you can check out what they're doing, check out how they're thinking. That meme where that guy goes, that's what it's about. You've got to. And you know what? And this is probably what scares some people. You might agree with 10% of it. You might agree with 10% of it. And I know that's an existential crisis for leftists in America. But wow, what if you're not right about something? So believe me, 99% of my ire is, of course, for the fascist, racist, white supremacy supporting, anti-woman, anti-immigrant, insulting veterans, taking away the most basic social structure constructs, the anti-regulatory. That's what I'm against. The right-wing GOP Republicans of today. It's clear to people. But I absolutely am here to criticize stupidity on both sides. So to that point, Eric, that guy was, it sounded like all he did was hang out with people who agree with him about these spurious stories, these false stories about Fauci and Gates and things. And so he never had challenges. He kind of said that, actually, on the air and off the air. He said, you know what? Yeah, I don't really get to talk to someone like you, saying to me, who asks me for sources and to explain how something came about. So I think for him, I hope his takeaway is, yeah, I should really talk to some people on the other side. Bassam says Salmonella is no worse than the flu. It's a hoax by Big Ag. Yes. Let's see. Have I toured with Pat's band previously? I have not. I've not. I've not. I've met Pat Metheny a few times as a nerd, as a fan. And I have I've seen him so many times, countless times. But no, never worked with the man, and never worked on any kind of production or something where he was. But that's okay. But yeah, in 8 days I fly out to this tour, and just on one level, it's like any other gig. You show up, you stay sober, you work hard, and you make that shit happen. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, what's this? Let's look at some. What do we got here? That's July. Okay. Back to your great comments and questions. I do know do. Well, that was the beginning of it anyway. Guy Samuel Newton, how are you, man? 3.5 hours to Atlanta. Did I drive too fast? Okay, it's like 3:40 maybe, but I think 3.5 though. Kind of, yeah, killing it at about 75, 80 miles an hour. You can do that with no traffic. I'm writing a Fringe Festival script. Yeah, that works. Yeah, right, Guy. You thought it was you had the Impossible, and you thought it was you thought it was beef, huh? I know, man. That's my thing on some of that stuff, though. I'm just like, it's too real. I'm not interested. Ugh. It's it's just weird when it's like, and I understand there's a lot of angry meat eaters, or a lot of angry self-described carnivores that they get very angry that there's this massive movement in these companies. Don't blame us, right? If you're mad, be mad at Arby's, meat eater. Don't get mad at me. Go get mad at thingamajig, KFC, or this one or that one. We didn't come up with this. We didn't start the fire. So let's see. Twitter is working. And John Francis, how are you, my friend? Been listening to some of your music and your crazy new instruments. I love it. And it was just the anniversary of that show, bro. I don't think I've done a show, bro, in 2 years. John Francis, if you're still there, did the show with you and Alec Feldman. My heart is filled with joy that you two people met each other and started playing music. Wow. That makes my whole year, that I randomly booked two friends on a show that have become besties and do music together. I think, were you at his wedding? I see he had a wonderful wedding. He's met this wonderful woman who's an artist, right? I'm sure you know her. I don't know her. But I just can't get over how awesome the universe is when shit like that happens, when two creative people meet like that. So I'm happy to be part of that. But I'm just want to bring up that I have not played a show since that night, because that was where we finished in Jersey. So you're asking about composting method. You dig a hole where the rain comes in. You dig a hole and you bury the scraps. Psh, that's it. No, that's it, bro. I'm looking at my compost heap right there. In fact, maybe I'll do that. I'll put my phone on the channel and go show my compost heap. That'd be cool. I just 15 years. It's going to be in about 7 months. 15 years of having a compost pile, and have grown many gardens in those 15 years from the soil. Have not thrown away food waste in close to 30 years, because we composted in New Jersey as well. But that's it, man. Just, you could dig a hole, but we just do a pile, and it's a mound. I get in there with a pitchfork a couple times a year, and I just stir it up, and the bottom is beautiful, amazing black soil. I mean, you can feel how energetic it is. And I just put stuff on the top, and I layer it. What I do is, every time I cut my lawn, the grass becomes a layer. And right now I've got leaves there because I've been raking. So the compost pile, over time, the only thing I'd recommend, and I can't remember all the details on this, but you can look it up, but there's different pH things you want going on in a compost pile. So you want leaves, you want grass, you want all the different plant scraps. You really don't want any animal products. The most that I've seen, I've read a lot about it and watched some videos. The most I've seen people push the envelope is eggshells. That's one that people put into compost. But you really don't want to put, whatever, scraps of cheese, certainly not scraps of meat and things like that. That's called burying a carcass when we put meat into the... But you want to have anything, any plants. So Coffee grounds, we put them there. I put tea bags right in there, and they break down because the tea is plant based. And the bag, you have these newfangled bags that the kids are using now that are fucking, synthetic. Who did that? What evil cunt did that? Fucking invented fucking nylon. I can't take it with these people. Who wants a nylon tea bag so it's going to last forever? So they're made of, most tea bags are some sort of fiber. So, yeah, man, throw anything in there, but you're on the right track. If it works for you to have a hole, that's great. And you just said it. It rejuvenated your fig tree. That's it. So, is there a better way? It's kind of like music. I almost bought one of these drums that you have, and there's drums that turn around and turn the soil. There are things that look like square garbage cans. Yeah, you got it going, bro. And you're an inventive person, so you can make something up. I have a friend who made a square little area about, I'd say, 5 by 5. Just made a square open. Would look like you would plant in it, and it was about 3 feet high. And they fill that with the scraps. And there's a little door on the side where the soil can come back out. So yeah, you can kind of do anything. But thanks for asking. Composting is very important. Derek Schulten says, "Oh shit, you're in Facebook jail again, bro? Something's fucked up, man. How are they? I see some jacked up shit. I have a friend, sort of, who I have an acquaintance who sends this really racist garbage. He keeps trying to pull Obama back into focus, but he just sends all this pro Twitler stuff and some really edgy stuff about minority groups and things. And that's every day. And I'm like, how are you not getting shunned on Facebook? So who knows? It's very arbitrary, All right. So, cool. John Francis is still there. Okay, awesome. So you heard that. Thanks, bro. And heart back to you, bro. Bodies don't compost. Derek says, oh shit, bodies don't compost. There goes my garden. That's great. Derek, another plant-based friend of mine and one of my patrons. Thank you. I got the door open, so little fruit flies are coming in. And John Francis, who is John, tell me what do you eat these days? John's always very plant-based, but I know he eats very high quality food. Period. That's John's thing. And I know, right? You eat some organic eggs and maybe deep sea fish and things like that. Tell us what you eat, John, because we're here to share and inspire people. And if people can be inspired to say, you know what, I really like fish, but does that work? Can I have a little bit of fish and kind of eat fish when I want? And then, absolutely. This show is about taking one day off of flesh food. And if you can do that, wow, that's a lot. Because then it gets you thinking about stuff. So I'm all for pescatarians and opportunitarians and all these different words. I lose track. Okay, let's go back to, we saw Twitter, we saw YouTube. I will go to Twitch because I always forget Twitch. The one day I forget Twitch is when there's a couple people there. If y'all don't know about Twitch, check it out, man. A lot of great music, a lot of really great stuff on Twitch, and the quality is very high. The audio and video is very cool. That's what I like about it. So, compost barrels, yes. You can order them, you can get them. Christopher Lowry is the first to notice. Yes, I was going to say this to Kathy before. I'm in the red, man. I thought I'd put this on. I love this shirt because it's pretty much where I probably where most people perceive me, a little over the fucking edge, and a little into the distortion zone. But the time is over for -6 dB, my friends. We got to be peaking in this century because shit's on fire. The most recent video from Caitlin Doughty's Ask a Mortician involved composting. Okay, I don't know what that is, but okay. Svalgard, you can compost everything but the bones. Well, yes. I mean, um, that gets tricky. I mean, it's of course we decompose. That's what humans have been doing for millennia, for sure. How long do humans exist? 500,000 years or something? Million years? I forget. But yeah, of course we will break down. But and then there's a whole thing where you can become a tree, right? Isn't there a thing where you can get buried in a little thing with a seed and you become a an oak tree or something like that? Yeah. But yeah. But thank you, Eric. I'll check that article out. Okay, New York Times. Yeah, I like it, man. I'm all for that because graveyards and kind of all the chemicals of what you call it, embalming and all that. That's some horrible shit, right? So I love that. Yes, put humans in there. So salmonella. We spoke a little bit about that. I'll circle back to that. Be careful. Another thing that I'm glad we caught it. Let's share the first of the little news items today. And I look at Veg News and Vegconomics. I hope I'm saying it right. Really great site that talks about the economics of plant-based business around the world, actually. Pretty incredible. And if I was smart enough to invest, I could probably be investing in the right shit because I can see when things are. I also look at livekindly.com. That's a good one. Random stuff. And people send me stuff. But this was a cool news item, I thought. In Spain, and this speaks to our bias and our misunderstanding of certain countries. Because when I tell people that one of the best places I've had vegetarian food is Germany, for instance, people flip out. They cannot believe it. They think I'm lying. Germany is hands down one of the most incredible places that I've had meals. Turkey was incredible. Israel was incredible. And England is incredible. And I think Spain was interesting. Spain is a mix of really incredible, but you really got to be careful. And in fact, with my dear brother, Eric Svalgard here, Eric, I'm channeling. I could picture right now, bro. Do you remember this? We played in Spain. Beautiful place on the beach, right? And Sherry was still with us. I have some pictures of her on the beach. Wonderful. It's like her last trip. And but I remember you had a great time. We all did. You were walking around, and we were walking around and coming back to the hotel, and we saw you. You had found a beautiful Spanish restaurant, and you were sitting like it was 4 feet up from the sidewalk, like a balcony, but you could be looking at the sidewalk. You were sitting right there about to order your food, and you were having the best time. You were having some sangria, I think, and you had this wonderful, like some fresh fish, and all these vegetables were arriving, or you were about to order. I forget, but it was just good times. And we all had great food in Spain. So this is, wow, there's a Burger King in Spain going totally meatless. How about that shit? Look at that. Let's get this monitor back on. So again, to that point of where people go like, they're amazed at some of these countries. Some of these countries, they have young people. You got to remember, they have activists. They have, just like here, there's people who want to advocate for animals. And just like in these countries, they are advocating for Black Lives Matter or women's rights or reproductive choice or advocating for refugees or they're anti-war. We think we're the only ones that do all that shit. So the Spanish activists have been really, the last 20 years, on all those kinds of issues, very outspoken. So I've been tracking a lot of these European animal rights groups, and so these companies are responding. So here we go in Madrid, and they've got a meat-free menu, plant-based Whoppers, meatless chicken sandwiches, blah, 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 blah. And they're doing it for a month. Okay, they're trying it out for a month. And it's one branch on this certain street in Madrid. And they're working with the Dutch. Usually when the Spanish and the Dutch are working together, somebody's becoming a slave. But it's the 21st century, and they've put their efforts to better things. That's right. So look at that, huh? Sorry, I'm so dehydrated. Ah, that's good. 100% vegetariana. Look at that. And again, folks, it's fast food. It's, I'm not saying you go and I have to say this every time just in case cuz there's going to be someone who didn't hear before and they're going to say that guy just tells people to go to Burger King. No, I'm not. I'm just saying one of the metrics here is that from the top down, from the corporate level, from the worldwide massive companies, they're looking at this. And when you read their mission statements on their websites, they are referencing environmental stuff. They're referencing supply chains. I saw that the other day. A place was talking about supply chains and how fucked up supply chains are on planet Earth now. But if you're using a plant-based thing, it almost everywhere we are, you're much closer to a plant-based solution than fresh food coming from across the country. So blah blah blah. I'll put the link in the chain there. Not that big of a deal. Just thought it was a cool moment in the madness. And in Spain. So I'll say this about Spain. Someone had asked me the other day about what's the toughest country to eat vegetarian. And really, you can eat vegetarian anywhere. If there's animals, there's vegetables because animals eat the vegetables, right? So think about it that way. The only place, so the Arctic Circle would probably be like my only challenge. But the quick thing on Spain that's fascinating, I've been to Spain 3 or 4 times. I ramped my Spanish back up and all that. Once you can say sin carne, vegetariana, sin leche, sin manteca, things like that. Vegetariana, total, vegan, any of these things, no problem, wherever you go. But the funny thing in Spain is if you say to them, no pollo, no carne, I forget the name for, anyway, you say a few things. And in English, I'll say, if you say no beef, no chicken, no pork, they will then bring you pigeon. You go, no. No birds, no pigeons, no pheasants, no chicken, pork, beef. I don't want any of that. They bring deer. And then you're like, no, guys. Okay, no animal, no animales, sin animales, sin carne. And the guy will go, sí. Okay, and then he'll bring octopus. So that happens once, and then you really get it. That's like you gotta. So what you do in Spain is you tell them what you do want. So you say, I will have the lettuce and onions and tomatoes, olives, the potato that I see that plate there. It's a baked potato. No animales. See, no, solamente patata. Okay, and you kind of build from scratch what you want in Spain. I haven't been there in 10 years, so it's much better, I'm sure. But it's kind of funny. You have to just build it from scratch. So there's the Burger King. Christopher says you can become a mushroom faster. You can become a mushroom faster, as in fasting only on mushrooms. Yeah, I guess I could try that for a weekend. And what kind of mushrooms? Yeah. All right. Well, folks, we always share here what you had for lunch. I'm always inspired by that. I had some wonderful Middle Eastern lentil soup from a really great place in town called Gypsy Queen. That is really, really great. It's run by a woman named Susie. She happens to be from Lebanon. So her mom and her grandma recipes she brings to our little town. And had some really good lentil soup. So the rare takeaway food. So Another article, I'm just going to put this article in the chat as well. It's an interesting article. I only kind of read the first paragraph, but it's the guy named Andy Widerhorn. He's the CEO of Fatburger. Now, if you know Fatburger, again, we're talking one of the meccas of that greasy California burger and fries kind of thing. Milkshakes, and they're kind of like the 50s snapshot. You roll up, you have a big burger, milkshake, and fries. It's very all-American, all that. Think American Graffiti or something like that kind of era of kind of American fast food. Fatburger celebrates that. And even Fatburger is having a discussion about, they have a plant-based menu on their Fatburger. And this is an interview with the CEO of Fatburger. So I know there's people that go, this is a phase, and this is the, well, good luck, because this is planetary. It's happening in all these countries. I've seen it in those countries, and I read about it. So Fatburger, by the way, is also Marble Slab Creamery, and that's a major place for this gourmet ice cream sort of a thing. And if that starts adding in vegan options, wow. And it's all good for farmers too, because it means almond milk, cashew milk, oat milk. There's a pea milk now that can be, the fat of that can be used to make an ice cream. So it's great news for American farmers. Who wouldn't want that? But Fatburger is also hot dog on a stick, Marble Slab Creamery, Round Table Pizza, Johnny Rockets, and Elevation Burgers, all of which are now doing vegan options and have partnerships with Impossible Foods. It's fucking huge. This is companies stepping up and saying, we're going to make a massive investment. I don't know if Robin Renee is here. Yes, she is. There you go, Robin. So I'm going to stick around, Robin, because I'm going to tie back to something you just said, except about Fatburger. And I see you put your lunch there. But to Robin's question earlier on, Fatburger initially had a vegan patty, okay? But then they had it with mayo, and the bun wasn't vegan. So I think that's kind of cool that they're trying, right? It's somebody who's trying and saying, how do we get this right? And then they got feedback, and they said, okay, all right, let's go back to the drawing board. And they and I get it. At that level, it's like turning around a battleship. If they had ordered 10,000 of those buns, then, well, they're going to show up somewhere. But that part I'm making up. I don't know if that was the fact. But I understand in industry how this happens. However long it took, though, they took notes and they said, got it. And they did their research. Anyone who does the research knows that there's 50 vegan mayos available. I mean, they're all over the place. Trader Joe just has a new vegan mayo. My sister, both of my sisters are plant-based, by the way, as is many people in my family. Too many to name. Many are not, but I have, family members I can talk to about it. But my immediate family, my two sisters, I lose track. Are they both vegan right now? Vegan/vegetarian. One of them was pescatarian for a long time, but one of my sisters plant-based for 30 years, So we talk about all this stuff, and they send each other stuff. But one of them pointed out to our little text thread, Trader Joe has a new plant-based mayo. What's the big company? I have some upstairs, although I was like, why did I buy this? Hellman's has a vegan mayo. I just don't eat that much mayo. I really don't eat sandwiches that much, but a couple times a year I go, let's make us a sandwich. And so mayo. Anyway, this company obviously said, no problem, we'll figure it out. So they have a mayo now that's vegan and a bun that's vegan, and they're doing a vegan Daya cheese, Daya cheese, Daya, Canadian company, really great cheese that you see. There's 5 pizzerias in town here that use this stuff. I went to one of these pizzerias with a friend of mine from New Jersey who eats New York pizza. It was early in the pandemic, about a year ago. He said he was eating pizza every day, just, getting into a hibernation mindset. And I've had good New York pizza. I used to live in New York for over 2 years and lived near New York for 30 years. So I know what great, amazing crust New York pizza is. And we have that here in Asheville. And I gave this guy a slice of the pizza with the Daya cheese on it. And he was like, you know what, dude? If you didn't point this out, I really wouldn't know. I mean, it's there now, folks. The melting, the stretching, the pulling of the cheese, the classic things that are in the fat of mozzarella. And it's done without any weird chemicals or anything. We're talking excipients of cashews and coconuts and tapioca flour and, seaweed gums and things like that, natural things. We got to understand that it's all chemistry. And why people are turned off by that, it's too bad because it's chemistry, whether you like it or not. And there's a wonderful show. I've referenced it a dozen times here. It's called Salt, Acid, Fat, and Heat, I think it's called. And we've talked about it many times. I've linked it many times. It's on Netflix. I think the woman has a masterclass. But what's great about that is she's doing all these recipes, and she's not vegetarian exclusively by any stretch. She does some veg dishes, but she points out that you are really a chemist in the kitchen. She just adds that perspective. Of course, you're being creative, you're remembering your grandmother's recipes, but there's a layer of chemistry going on. You are boiling. You are applying water in perhaps all of its states, right? You might do something where you chill some stuff on ice. You might freeze some tofu or do different things. When you freeze tofu, actually, and then cook it, you get an amazing texture. Did you know that? Yeah, check that out. Get some tofu, press the water out as much as you can, and freeze it. Chop it into cubes first is useful. Doesn't matter, though. When you defrost it, you could do that. You get a whole other amazing texture. So it's chemistry. You're applying, vinegars and the acidity of vinegar, or the aspect of fat once it's heated up is going to be different than heating in water. So whether it's butter or some sort of animal fat, but outnumbering that are the thousands of plant fats, right? All these nut and seed oils, and of course olive oil, all the other oils humans have used for years, rice bran oil, you name it, canola oil. A little controversial, but you can get good canola oil. So once you start thinking that, okay, you know what, it's just chemistry, then it becomes a little easier, I think, to imagine that such a thing as cream cheese exists without a drop of milk in it. What's also important existentially is it doesn't matter if you accept it or not. It's selling like crazy. Even Philadelphia cream cheese is looking at this stuff, and they're looking over their shoulder because Miyoko's is getting into every store. Miyoko's is in mainstream supermarkets now. We just had the Trader Joe feta cheese. Wow. I always forget to take pictures of this stuff. The Trader Joe feta cheese, folks. Don't snooze. I'm telling you. Blindfold. You would not know. In a Greek salad. It's in brine, and you get a nice little block of feta cheese just like you would at, a Greek deli or something. And it's all about the brine. And once they figured out the brine, which is probably a plant-based brine, actually, it's vinegar and salt and stuff. This stuff is amazing, and it's cashew and coconut fat. Amazing. They got the texture. I would rate it as someone who's eaten a fair share of feta cheese. I've eaten feta cheese in the Middle East, not in Greece, but in really close, Israel and Turkey. I would say it's like 98% spot on. I mean, there's a tiny little fat note that I thought, and there's good feta and bad feta, right? That's the other thing. People get snarky about vegetarian replacement foods. They act like every cheese is good that's made out of milk, right? That's fucking bullshit. They act like every burger is good because it's made out of meat. No, we know this. And I've had bad feta cheese. There's cheap, shitty feta cheese. And so this stuff's really, really great. And, let's see. Fat Burger. Yeah, I was like, what's the link I was doing here? So let me put that in here. There's the link. Fat Burger. Is it 2 T's? No. Fat Burger CEO. All right. So let's go back to what you had for lunch. I saw people starting to say that, so this is great. Supply chains are messed up. Vegan tikka masala. Wow, that's been interrupted. Okay, so today Sharon had, let's see, frozen red grapes. All right, Christopher Lowry. Become a mushroom faster than become a tree. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like you said, you're talking about the human composting. I think you mean. I'm not sure. Not very clear on that. But I think that's what you mean. Robin had, oh yes, a tom kha with tofu. One of my favorite. Oh. Any town we roll into, it's like, all right, where's the Thai place? Yeah, that sounds great. Eric had some popcorn for lunch. Hey, man, eating popcorn right now is what we're doing, watching this fucking movie. Yes, my sisters are veg, yeah. Bassam's doing his internet research. Samin Nosrat, that's right. Awesome. And Christopher Rowley, yeah, okay. Humans becoming mushrooms, yeah. Yeah, that mycology movie was great. Okay, so we got Fat Burger. We talked a little bit about that other blah, blah, blah company. What was that? Burger King in Spain. I told you a little bit about Spain, eating in Spain. Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge there. Once you have it dialed in. The other place is Japan. You have to really, really give clear information. Let's see. So we talked about the lab-grown meat last night, and last night I was talking to someone else about it last week, and someone had messaged me too about that. And Celine, you messaged me about some food topics. So just remind me. Sometimes I got so much going on, folks. But I wanted to talk about. Of course, this is one of my segues. What did anyone see the Dave Chapelle special? Because I thought that was, and while that might feel like a radical change, I bring it up because I finally watched it, and as usual, man, all the smoke and the noise. This happens all the time in our new kind of social media driven culture. Most people that comment on stuff have not seen the actual article. And I've grown up with that. People will say, well, Frank Zappa, his lyrics are dirty. I mean, that Jazz from Hell album, he's talking about hell. No, he's not. It's instrumental. And I'm serious. There's a Christian group that went after Frank Zappa in the 80s for the lyrics on his Jazz from Hell album. They did. They wanted to ban it. It's an instrumental album, So these kind of things happen, and that happens on the left and the right. Did you watch the movie? Did you watch the interview? Did you read the book that you're critiquing? To me, that's always important. And I always say, well, I can say some peripheral things about it, but let me watch the whole interview. It's a very important area. I always remember, for instance, one of my favorite examples is Ahmadinejad. Remember Ahmadinejad? Is he still alive? He was the head of Iran or something, right? Ahmadinejad. And his famous thing was Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. There he is, former president of Iran. I never know how to say it. But he's very famous for saying the Holocaust didn't happen. Remember that? And I remember going, well, I want to read this whole fucking quote. And that goes around. Everyone just knows. He said the Holocaust didn't happen. Be my guest. Go look at the quote. What he actually said was, it didn't happen here in the Middle East. He was referring to his views on Israel and Palestine and all the land moving back and forth. And he was saying, why are my people giving up land? It didn't happen here. Holocaust didn't happen here. You should go take land in Poland or in Germany. Holocaust didn't happen here. And what did people do? They took the first three words. Holocaust didn't happen headlines. So I'm always wary of that. I always wary of that. And I'm very consistent about that. Even this rat bastard, psychopath, sociopath, sexual abuser that we had in office previously, he's famous for that statement of there's good and bad people on both sides. The whole thing at Charlottesville. But if you go listen to the whole quote, you got to give him credit because he actually said more than that, and he actually did condemn the Nazis a little bit more than you're led to believe with just the 5 words. So this happens on all sides, folks. And I beg you, be careful. Anything that's controversial, please try to watch the whole thing. We're in a time where you can do that. That's what frustrates me. In 1977, we couldn't go and see, well, what did Jimmy Carter really say at that meeting? The paper said one thing. A month later, they corrected it. But in that month, you can lose an election or whatever, lose the Senate. Very important thing. Watch the whole tape. We've seen this in our countless police situations, right? What happened? You watch the whole tape, though. Sometimes the person in question is on meth and they spat at the cop and try to stab him with a knife and all these things. Where's the tape start? So the point is clear there. So on the Dave Chapelle thing, everyone should watch the whole thing, if they're going to condemn him. If you're supporting him, then you don't really, because you already know that Dave's complicated. And Dave's a comedian. Dave's a satirist. Dave, in that rare area like Carlin, is a social commentator. He just does it with some really funny shit. So I know someone's going to say, you support Dave, man. That's not important. I support just, people being able to speak their mind. But if you watch this thing, it's amazing. It's nothing like what the snapshot descriptions are. Here's my punchline, though. He brought up the Impossible Burger because someone's going, why is he talking about Dave Chapelle? Dave brought up the Impossible Burger and the Beyond Burger. He brings it up in the context of a joke. I'm not going to spoil the joke. It's a funny joke, but it's a really funny joke. But he brings up Impossible Burger and Beyond Burger. And I wanted to share that with y'all if you haven't seen it. Because again, I love that this topic is rising in general societal discourse that a Dave Chapelle can toss off a reference, right? I think it's pretty cool. And it's kind of like people talking about TikTok. Like everyone understands what TikTok is now, but 2 years ago you'd say TikTok and people were like, "What?" So when something becomes kind of critical mass, topical in our society, it's always an interesting moment. If you're interested in that kind of shit, and I am, I'm interested in sociology and human communication, obviously. But I just about died laughing when, not only at the joke, but when Dave Chapelle referencing Impossible Burger and Beyond Burger. So do watch the special. I'm not gonna get bogged down with it right now. I'd like to do a whole thing on that fucking special. But Christopher Lowry saying, what's the name of that Dave show? Come on, bro. That's just being lazy. It's the biggest fucking comedy show on planet Earth right now. Just Google Dave Chapelle. It'll come right up. I'm going to have you do some homework. It's on Netflix. It's one of their most watched specials of all time. So just go look for it. Dave Chapelle, new October 2021 show. For a minute, I couldn't remember the title. That's why I'm sending you. But now I remember. But just go look for it and watch it. But the other thing I'll bring up is that one of the activists that has been at the forefront of condemning him as being anti-trans and transphobic and things of that nature. Did you see this? You probably not, though, because the liberal press is not touching it. One of these activists, I'll put a link. They've pulled up her old tweets. Okay, this is a trans person that they identify as her, she, her, female, Great, fine. Turns out, though, you're a racist piece of garbage. How about that? Yeah, one of these people going after Dave. All the old tweets are now out. She's going after Asians in the most horrible way. Making comments about the way Asians drive and speak English in your Korean supermarket or whatever it was. Anti-gay comments. All right, the F word. Saying some stuff about gay men. This is the person attacking Dave Chapelle. This is all. So there's a story there, which is throwing stones, glass houses, all that stuff. And it's tragic. It's just tragic that the left is going to have a circular firing squad, as we usually do. And the cancel culture is so massive that, again, somebody goes on this pedestal and there's a walkout and there's all this stuff, and it turns out you're just as transphobic. Wow. Or just as negative. Very interesting. Someone put a video together of this person, this person's tweets with like a vocal soundtrack. I got here because of Dave and Impossible Burger and all that. So, it just reminded me. But yeah, take a look at this headline. Activist behind Netflix walkout has made bigoted tweets against Asians and homosexuals in the past. How about that? And guess what? Her excuse is, well, I was high on meth. It was a tough time in my life. Really? Okay. So that's okay then. And again, there's one of the tweets right there. Really intense stuff. So there's a bunch of tweets, and it's all verifiable. And this person has responded, which verifies it further. She says, I take full responsibility and deeply apologize, which is exactly what, people say when they're told that their show's canceled because they're anti-trans. They often apologize. But this person says, I was strung out on drugs, blah, 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 blah. So, okay. And I'm willing to be compassionate and say, okay, you were in a rough place. No problem. Can you share that compassionate outlook when someone else says, hey, man, I made a mistake. I used the wrong pronoun, or I didn't understand, or I didn't, I'm sorry. Because many times people apologize, and then, nope, it's too bad. So I call it the Lena Dunham effect. That's what I've been calling it. You know who Lena Dunham is? Lena Dunham is a wonderful, talented actress, writer, producer. She did that show on HBO that Childish Gambino was in, Donald Glover. And what the hell was that damn show called? Anyway, but she's troublesome. Girls, right? HBO series Girls. And funny, she's a comedian and an actress and everything, but she's quite messy. And I call it the Lena Dunham effect because no one says shit about her messiness in the progressive / feminist, men or women, progressive / feminist / Brooklyn woke kind of millennial crowd. They love her. She's a hero, and that's fine. She's exactly millennial age. She's 35 years old right now. Fine. She's brilliant. Great. Enjoy her movies. But when she says some racist shit, as she did to an NBA player, she hypersexualized this black man and said some racist shit, it just goes by. When it's found that she accused a man of raping her and then later on said, well, I was just kidding. I think she might have said she was drunk there. Don't quote me on that whether she was drunk. But she had some excuse. But you don't accuse someone of rape and then say you made it up. When she was found to have been sexually abusing her younger sister for years and years, well into the age that she should know better. Again, we get a pass. Like, people have tough times. Hey, all that's fine. My question is, why doesn't that get applied other times, right? The cancel culture is amazing, and it is selective. It's the Lena Dunham effect. She gets away with all the shit I just said and more. Go look up her shit, man. She's got a lot of problems if we're going to, analyze behavior. And don't nobody say shit. So that's one of the themes of the Dave thing. So go watch it yourself. Maybe we'll do a thing about it. Who's here? Okay. Oh, Scott Mulder. What'd you have, Dave? What'd you have for today, bro? Delicious penne pasta with green beans, carrots, peas, and broccoli, garlic sauce, and some hot sauce. Yeah, bro. Scott can look out the window and see the beautiful Venice Beach. How is Venice Beach, Scott? How's the tent city? Finally, lukewarm coffee. Let's get rid of that noise. I'm playing my mug. So that sounds good. Penne pasta. Haven't had that in a while. Lab-grown meat. Not going to touch it. Bassam. Yes, you're right. When you're famous to do anything, you can grab him by the pussy. Yeah. He was saying if you want to, you can state my fame. He didn't say he did it himself. Right. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. There's a little parsing we could do there. He didn't actually say he did it, but we know he did. But no, you're right. Technically speaking, based on that one statement, he's referring to a potential grabbing. Good afternoon, Kevin. How are you, my friend? Yeah, thank you. You like the shirt? That's me, man. I'm in the fucking red. I'm peaking. Yes, the average person knows what the Impossible Burger is. And Christopher, bingo, you found it. Yes, that is the name of the new Dave Chapelle. Right, you Googled and found it. Bassam says the noise about what he said was ridiculous. We should be happy to have the discussion. We should be happy to hear what people who are othered and people who are abused and people who have had a hard time. Let's hear. Really, let's have a intersectionality. Let's fight for each other. All for it, but let's also, be realistic. And I heard from so many people that never even watched it, and they're speaking to what Dave said. It's very nuanced when you watch the whole 90 minutes, man. He really, and as many people have said in reviews, a big thread in the whole thing is this very close trans friend of his, a comedian. I won't spoil the story, but he has a comedian friend who's trans who lost her life, and he, talks about the whole journey of time and friendship. And again, I'm not saying having a trans friend makes him immune to criticism. Not at all. That bumps right up against the old, some of my best friends are black, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it adds some nuance to the story. So please go check it out. Yes, if you're going after someone, yeah. Exactly. Glass houses and all that. Kevin says, so she's not doing meth now anymore. Yeah, that's good. I don't know. That's a good question. Good question. So, yes, my All Moog album is put on hold a little bit. Let's clean that up, get the tuning better. My album is put on hold because I'm going on tour. But that's okay. I'll be writing it on the road. Mogalicious. Yes, it is. Okay, some more food stuff, some more food news. Man, I'm so bad at writing this shit down. I remember and then I forget. What was the one I saw? And I also loved that. I remember what it was. I wanted to tie in another news item. So remember a few minutes ago I brought up the cultured meat, right? The kind of the lab-grown meat. And I agree with any of y'all saying, I ain't eating that, Yeah, it's not my thing. But I celebrate it. I think it's great because if we can now have people eat this and say, you know what? That's an actual steak. It's beef It's beef. It's beef that grows in a shape in a lab or something. Look, there's people eating lab grown food all day long, right? If you're going to eat something that's growing in a concrete, fluorescent lit, artificial environment, why wouldn't you eat? Why don't you go with a tiny step more? You're already eating something that's not the way the animal would be in nature, right? A pen that's 6 feet long and 2.5 feet, they can't even move. And you're gonna die on that hill and say, I refuse to eat something that's the same thing, just put in a petri dish and given real nutrients, real, vitamins and things like that, water, and it grows. It's not for me, but it's for a lot of people. It's really it's blowing up out there. So on that note, I wanted to share that none other than Ashton Kutcher is putting his money behind that. And again, I love to highlight these people because I think it's a corny word, but they're influencers. Other people see this stuff and say, you know what? I'll take this seriously for once. I don't have a problem with that. That's how advocacy works. That's why people started buying Telecasters because Buddy Holly had one or something, and they said, yeah, that's cool. I'd like to try that out. And it turns out Telecasters are fucking badass. So influencers go back to, I don't know, for you that are Christians, certainly Jesus was an influencer, wasn't he? Walking through those crowds in Galilee with the fish and the loaves and telling people to be kind to each other. Thou shalt not kill. What happened to that, right? So nothing wrong with influencers. No, I'm not comparing Ashton Kutcher to Jesus. So let's link that. And hey, it's cool because again, these millionaires, especially these young ones, are investing in environmental things. Kanye West, he invested a lot in some homeless shelters and things. One of his ideas fell flat. He wanted to build geodesic domes in the desert for homeless people, and he tried. He spent a few million trying to do this, and but I applaud him because the heart was there. So let's take a look at that. I'm just putting these links in there, folks, and hopefully what you do is click them, leave them in your browser, and maybe read them later on. Maybe share them with some people, because I think it's fascinating stuff that we're getting these new ideas and these new foods. So yeah, Ashton Kutcher. I never say his name right. Ashton Kutcher from that 70s show, which, by the way, they're premiering that 90s show. It's Kitty and Red 20 years later. So that should be interesting. What a great show that was. That was a funny show. Anyway, Ashton Kutcher, it's going to get me every time. He's got this new venture, and he's backing the one I've spoken about before, the one from Israel. There's a couple from Israel, but he's putting his money there. So there you go. It's a cool article. And 43 years old. So again, just right in that millennial age group. Right now, Singapore and Israel are the only ones who've granted legality to this stuff. But of course, it'll be everywhere. Ashton is married to the beautiful. Man, I got a crush on Mila Kunis. Good God. Little Russian beauty. Married to the beautiful and talented and funny and brilliant Mila Kunis. And so the both of them are doing this really cool, activist things. That you see their name in a lot of different things. And this is pretty cool. It's used, they're using 3D technology. It's using these, I saw an interview with one of these guys in Israel, and it's really done as clean and efficacious as you can hope. But that's for other people. Yep, it's not for me. Christopher says the closer is queued up, but you're watching. You can't stop watching my show. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope I'm keeping it interesting. Is my Moog album stuck at the port? Right, right. Uh, oh man, I just read an article about the guys working on the boats that are stuck there, and it's mostly guys. They didn't mention any women. But what a shit show, because they are they're not paid much, and some of them have been stuck there on the water for 20 months. Unbelievable. Supply chain has caused Devin's new album to be pushed back. Wow, okay. I wonder how. Is that like vinyl? Well, I'm a big advocate that stop selling physical objects for music. I think we're just past that. The emergency is such that. So if Devin has some, I don't know, some extravagant 10-page booklet or some bullshit, I'm disappointed. We're just past that, man. And this is a guy talking who has, I got about 13,000 CDs in my possession that I'm trying to get rid of. I think over the winter you will see them here for sale. I'm working out a new clever way to sell all my shit. I'm doing the death cleaning that the Norwegians do because I'm going to die. And who will clean all my shit up but my partner and my two sisters? I don't want them to be suffering. So I want nothing but instruments so they can use them or sell them. Anyway, so Devin, yeah, we don't need another CD, bro. We don't need another 10-page fucking bullshit. Just put it on your website. No one cares, man. It's environmental madness at this point. These petroleum-based discs and vinyl and stuff, I just don't, yeah. Especially now that FLAC and OGG Vorbis and WAVE files, all these high-density files are available. There's stuff even higher density. I just saw something on the new Coltrane that you can hear in some ridiculous format. So it's not MP3s anymore, like dribbling through a tiny little speaker. You can actually stream in high quality. So a pox on Devin if that's why his shit's pushed back. If it's something else, then I take it back. But if it's just to make some fancy CD, then pfft. Have I seen Soylent? Yes, I did. That's pretty funny. Saw it in the health food store. Robin Renee is also freaked out by the Soylent. That's some Devo level shit, right? I didn't know there's anything called Thorn. Yeah. Kevin Ritchie says muscle mass can be probably created at movement exercise. I know. Tell my beer gut that. In addition to feed and fluids. So does lab grown utilize electrolysis to develop muscle mass? That's a great question. Great interview with this guy at Meat Tech. That's the word meat combined with the word tech. At Meat Tech. Wow, those birds are loud. Do you hear those birds? Good question. I don't know how they do the muscle mass, but I've seen some videos where people are trying this stuff. There's a chicken and there's a steak, and a couple people are like, "Oh, it feels different," But the majority of people eat it and go, "This is great. This is fine." So they're doing something right. Let's see. Right. Okay, Thorn is an organization he started with Demi Moore. Okay. Oh, that's great for human trafficking. Okay. Yeah, he's a decent. I want to say kid. He's no longer a kid. He's 43. But no, he's his name pops up and it's always he's fighting for some good stuff. But all right, so we had another couple of things. So Ashton Kutcher, I just take these notes in my head. I should write them down. I know there was one other cool thing that happened. The Salmonella, though, that was a new one that crept up. That just happened, and I thought, well, let's talk about the good and the bad. And Yeah, it's a shame. I hope no one has died from that. I tell you, E. coli, salmonella, this shit. That's right. We looked it up. I looked up before. No one has died, and okay. That's right. There's the other one. It's a salami sticks. 20 people are sick, and there's an Italian style salami in a new salmonella outbreak, and it's the one from Trader Joe called Citerio premium brand Italian salami sticks. Wow. So it could be meat, could be vegetables, folks. There's no kind of like, this is not one of the things where you go, here's a problem with animal foods. Now, yes, predominantly it is actually. Predominantly these things, E. coli especially, tends to be animals. And when it is salmonella on lettuce or parsley or onions or sprouts or something, it's still animals. It's still animal waste that gets into the chain, and sometimes human waste. We have these underpaid workers with horrific situations. It's one of the things that, concerns me the most. And it's one of the things that, by supporting local farms, by supporting organic farms where you can go to the farm and see that people are working, or the farms that are dedicated to living wages and things like that, that's what we're cleaning up. When you read about the conditions that farm workers have in the USA for mainstream broccoli and lettuce and picking your peaches and your apples and all these things, citrus down in Florida, especially Florida, right? Which, Florida, I picture that meme of back to Bugs Bunny. See? It's called a callback. Bugs Bunny. And Rootin' Tootin' Sam, Yosemite Sam. But that meme of Bugs Bunny sawing off Florida and it floats away. Boy, I wake up smiling with that image in my head, because that fucking state, right? But when you drill down into the regulatory laws that govern the citrus workers, the migrant workers that do a lot of the work, it's so hypocritical, because people like Ron Death Santis go on and on about the border, and he stirs up that crowd. But when you really drill down to the things that he supports for the regulations in his own state, the labor regulations, the things that you need to do for the hardworking people who are picking the oranges and lemons and grapefruits and processing them and grading them and boxing them and all that. Sadly, it's a lot of undocumented people, illegal people. And suddenly Republicans look the other way when that stuff, because hey, bottom line, Democrats too, in whatever state you might talk about, the Democrat governor would be running things. There's a bit of the same thing. The other thing is, culturally, Americans need to understand that we pay very little for food on a global scale. We really do. Food is dirt cheap here. It's one of the first things Americans say when they go to other countries, especially Europe. They go, oh my God, the food was so expensive. No, it's not. It's actually the real price if you're going to pay. And they have migrant workers too in a lot of these countries. A lot of these countries, it's Turks and Algerians and Egyptians and Moroccans that come in, and they're picking stuff, and Poles in England who are doing the jobs that Europeans don't want to do. Just like here. Big difference, though, since they have much more robust and tight borders, since they have much better national ID situations, since they bring people in and give them the dignity of being in the system. And there's illegality there too, don't get me wrong, but it's much, much smaller percentage. And those folks have some protections and some wage guarantees and some rights, which then means the fucking peaches are going to cost more. So these are issues. The social justice that's built into food is inseparable to me. I don't, So I'm having some coffee. We try to buy fair trade coffee, organic coffee that's got a story to it. Sure, is someone lying once in a while? I'm sure it happens. But I've learned from almost 20 years in the industry, that the high bar to lie and make up an organic company that's not organic and to do it, it's really more difficult than people think. If you're a cynic about that, it's much more difficult than you think. The first problem is all the other competitors. If you suddenly appear and it's Dave's Organic, and you're in from Costa Rica and certified organic, the other companies are going to go, who's Dave's and how is he, pricing his stuff competitively here and edging my shit out in Whole Foods. I've seen this many times since I started in this industry in the early 90s. The other companies immediately buy some of Dave's shit. First off, to brew it and try it and say, oh, it's garbage, man. Or they go, oh, wow, Dave's is badass. Hey, find out where this, that's how companies roll. They need to see who's nipping at their heels. They also put it in their lab and they test it. And if there's any chance it's got chemical contaminants and it's not organic, boom, the whistleblowing starts right away. This has happened a couple times in the industry, so much so that there's a beautiful self-policing that happens in the organic world. It's so competitive and it's so small, actually. I believe organic is still under 10%. I think it was just about to cross 10% recently. Someone can correct me on that, but very small market share. For as much as you see organic everywhere and it's just popping, and I talk about it every week, it's still just a part of the American, market share is the phrase I want. So you have a self-policing that goes on. The second thing you have is organic just tastes better. It just tastes better. I love oranges. I love mangoes and cherries. Those are some of my favorite fruit. Peaches, and certainly with peaches, apples, oranges, boom, you could tell right away. Cherries are right on the line. Nothing. A good non-organic cherry is a badass cherry, and I'll buy those if they're out of organic. Mangoes, yeah, non-organic mangoes, because I suspect most mangoes are pretty close to organic. I mean, I've been in 6 countries where they grow, and they're growing on the side of the street. But some things, broccoli, wow, you can tell right away. Onions, actually, speaking of onions today, dramatic taste difference. The garlic, usually organic garlic, incredible difference in taste. Often. So that's the other thing too. The consumer is kind of the whistleblower. So I think that's important too. That supporting organic, you get that little higher standard of worker pay, worker rights, and things like that. If it's a fair trade kind of a thing in combination with being organic. I don't even know where to look here to get my questions. Let's see. Thorn. Okay, so yeah, I thank you for teaching me about that, Celine. I did not know about thorn. I know about. That reminds me of what's that movie, right? Damien Thorn. It's Damien, The Omen, right? Okay, so another salmonella. Oops. Let me put this coffee down. Sadly, yeah, another little salmonella story. Is this salmonella, which is out of Trader Joe's product, is kind of implicated here, which is, hey, it happens to anyone, and again, the system works, right? When they catch it, right? The system works. Doesn't always work. I'm not saying the FDA is perfect, but the system works sometimes. So there you go. I just put that link there about. So we have a fruit and a. I'm sorry. We have a vegetable and an animal-based product today with salmonella. So be careful, folks. Let's see. Where are we here? Let me catch up. Okay, so thorn. Thank you. Demi Moore. 2 friends. Okay. E. coli on lettuce scared the daylights out of you. Yes. And it scared the crap out of many people. Christopher Lowry, heard of this from a friend who's driving a career trucker. Okay, I'm gonna play along that this is related to trucking, right? Okay, heard career trucker. Okay, so a friend, an Uber ride. Okay, regarding the port. Yes, search seems to be true. Trucking that Biden had changed the law. Of course, it's Biden's fault. Had changed the law that was cutting owner operators out of doing business. Okay. Okay. Did a search and it seems to be true. Okay. It seems to be true, yet the link you sent me says it's mostly false. So is your interpretation of the words mostly false to mean it's true? That's scaring me, bro. If that's really, please explain yourself there. I don't, I don't have time to read this, but the one you sent says mostly false. I'm not. So, you know, is it false that it's not Biden? I don't know. I'll read this a little later on, but yeah, happy to read some facts and figures on this. I'm just scanning the article real quick to see the Biden part. I don't see his name yet. Facebook. Okay, so it's a gig worker regulation thing, and they rate it mostly false. So I don't know what to say. So you're saying it seems to be true, but you gave me a link that says it's mostly false. So, okay, I'm not sure what your angle is on that, but PolitiFact says mostly false. So, okay. Yeah, I'll have to read about that. Change the law, cutting owner operators out. All right, interesting. And again, the bottom line is I'm no Biden acolyte, so we don't have to worry about that. But lots of bullshit is made up on all sides. Celine says interesting for person. Demi. Okay, yeah. Okay, no problem. Wastewater was used through the field water distribution to increase uric acid exposure as it has nitrogen and hydrogen for crop growth. Okay. Is that like a reusing water sort of thing? That's good. Gray water. Celine says most politicians suck. If you want to become a politician, you generally enter the field of public service. You're in to serve the public. I agree. Not your own interest. It seems most politicians do that. No side is entirely innocent. Right, but it's also not 50-50, which that implies, which I was pushed back on, at least in the United States. Is there dirty politicians in each political area? Yeah, that's great. And one of my favorite topics. But immediately what I rankle at is those kind of sentences imply that it's a checkers game with 12 white, 12 black, or black and red, whatever we like, because then it'll be racial. But it implies that it's just this game and exactly as much is happening on either side. And that's just not what's happening in the USA. And I think you know that, Celine. I'm not dogging you. I'm just saying let's be careful with we use what should be pretty accurate language on these things, and it's just not so. I don't have to prove my position at this point to anyone who knows me that I criticize the left. I criticize liberals. I am super progressive. I'm borderline should be living in socialist Iceland or Holland or Argentina. I'd love to. Nothing wrong with socialism if you actually know what it means, which most knuckleheads don't that go against it. So I criticize the left, but there's nobody on the left, nobody doing anything equivalent to what Texas just did, for instance, to women. Give me an example. Where have people on the left completely exonerated, not exonerated, excommunicated, no, have completely removed a big chunk of the constitutionally protected choice of other human beings. It's just not happening. Where is the equivalent of the left, of the Democrats, as much as we can talk about how fucked up they are and how graft-ridden they are? I'm with you. I'm not an acolyte for modern American Democrats, but I'm always confused that it's not just all politicians suck. We have a serious situation with the modern, current October 2021 GOP Republican right-wingers. There's no clearer example of that than the fact that Cheney, I'm forgetting her first name, not Lynn Cheney, that's the mom, but Dick Cheney's daughter, Senator Cheney from Iowa. She is from Wyoming. Sorry, she is. She's considered now. Liz Cheney. Sorry, she's a House member. She's from Wyoming. She's considered like, the last stop here. I mean, this woman is so conservative that when she was running, she kind of cut her lesbian sister out and said, "Yep, I'm siding with the side that doesn't think you should be married." I mean, this is a woman that's so incredibly conservative, Liz Cheney. This is. Go look up her metrics. Go look up, and she's considered, some kind of a traitor to these people. That's how far right they are. The Josh Hawleys and the who are the Beavis and Butthead looking guy, Matt Gaetz. How is he still working? The guy is certified with all kinds of, situations with underage women. Marjorie Taylor Greene. All these people are so far to the right of a Liz Cheney that we need to really consider that. Go look up Liz Cheney's views. She is wild, and she's the sensible one in the room right now. She's the moderate one. And so, I don't know. People say idiotic shit on the left, and they waste my money, they waste your money, they do all kinds of stupid shit, but there's no analog to anyone like Mitch McConnell on the left. There isn't. There's nobody who just says, fuck you, children, on funding and schools and childhood health care and Head Start money and all these things. So, yeah, we have to really, I think, yeah. So let's see. Just my thoughts. Again, I'm not dogging you. I'm just taking that one sentence that we say a lot, where we say both sides of the aisle, and it's just not an equivalent thing. And where it relates to, and I like to always try to bring this back to the food regulations. When you see the anti-regulatory juggernaut that the Republicans are, it seems like they don't want rules for anything if it's going to impact the big corporations, whether it be the beef producers or every time we look around, they're always trying to write laws where they inspect themselves. That's a thing that they've been pushing on for years. There was a lot of stuff last year where, again, it was almost complete partisan voting, where all the Democrats were voting to try to get some support for a lot of these people getting sick, right, from COVID in the chicken murder plants and the cow murder plants. And again, these Republicans were like, no, that's devastating to the economy of the meat industry. Yeah, but these poor motherfuckers half of who are undocumented or more, they're dying like in these incredible conditions. Let's pass some put some teeth into these laws. So, yeah, that's where the rubber hits the road. Christopher said, you misquote me. I did not say it was true. You said, it seems it may be somewhat true. Boy, you are something else. So you're saying it may be somewhat true. So, okay, technically, I guess you're not saying it's true, but whatever. But then you put a link that says it's mostly false. So, you're getting on this semantic pedestal over words when you gave me a link that says it's mostly false. So that's newsflash. Mostly false is way far away from somewhat true or even true. So, wow. That's mind blowing. Are you literally sitting here saying that mostly false means just true enough that you're going to run with it? Is that what you're going with? Unbelievable. Um, Suddenly think of negative land. Yeah, that's right. Konstantinos, thanks for being here. How are you? Excoriate and displace. Yes, McConnell and Gates are just. Well, Gates. Which Gates? Oh, I see. You spelled it wrong. You mean Matt Gates, right? Because Gates makes you think of Bill Gates, who possibly is going to hell. I have no axe to grind to support Bill Gates. I take the good and the bad with him. The GOP is all marching in lockstep to achieve their power concentration. Dems truly have many groups under one tent, with progressives getting crowded out. Yeah, to the margins. Thank you. So well put, Konstantinos. And you're right. The crowd getting crowded out to the margins, even though a large part of the population agrees with progressive ideas. You're right, and that's a great point, because when they poll Americans across the board, we want, sounds like you want, our infrastructure properly funded. Who wouldn't want that? We want our airports and roads and docks to be safe and properly, repaired. Our bridges on our great highways, some of them are 60 years old with barely any. We have accidents happening. Our national parks. This idiot who lost the previous election and still won't admit he lost it did so much in that quick 4 years to undo the funding and good regulations for national parks. Remember that? The drilling and the oil stuff and Biden's no saint, because someone's going to point out that Biden has encouraged some of this mining and drilling. Yeah, and I criticized it. It's not, but it doesn't come close. Doesn't come close to the motion on this other side. We need infrastructure fixed. We need bridges to work. We need the electric grid to be safe. I just don't get how this is something to argue about, man. It's but there we are. So you're right. And Gus, you're saying to call you Gus. That's awesome. I do remember you. You're right. Most Americans, when polled, they want simple stuff supported. They want their kids to have a safe school. It's enough already. But Fox and that movement does such a good job. They're brilliant, actually. Hats off to the Lee Atwater family. The what's his name from Breitbart, Steve Bannon. All those minds. They're fucking brilliant, man. Stephen Miller. Wow, these are brilliant propagandists, because they get the stuff out there. They get it out to these willing people who don't watch anything else, and they convince them that it's turning into Cuba if this bill passes. No, you're going to get school for your fucking child, healthcare. It's crazy. School lunch for second graders who can't afford it. This brutally cruel output of McConnell. I just don't get it. Come on, bro. Let's see. So that's the GOP. The suspended aerosols cause serious lung problems in meat processing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Karl Rove. Thank you. That's another one. Right. There's like a backwards. There's a rogues gallery. That's what I'm looking for, of these people for the last 40 years. Let's see. So Christopher says he read the article, what was true and false, and knew about the flag on it. That may be somewhat true. His point that the trucker was complaining about, and that part is true. Not clear as Biden is involved. I don't know. I don't know what your angle is, but yeah, you just have your own, way of looking at it. Again, I'm the wrong guy. I'm not I hated voting for Joe Biden. Are you happy now? Fucking hated it. The guy's fingerprints are on the 3 big crime bills. I've said this a million times. Drives me crazy that I have to defend fucking Joe Biden. He's a clown. But he's 10,000 less the clown than the other clown. What? That's what life's like. I go to a store, I take 2 products, I look at one vegan mayo and the other one. I go, yeah, there's too many ingredients in this one. This one has 4 ingredients. I'll get this one. What the fuck is so mysterious about lesser of 2 evils? It's really simple to me. Joe Biden said he was going to bring in, well, first of all, I really voted Harris Biden because here was, and you said some racist shit, bro. I'll call you out on it. I'll call you out on it because Kamala Harris, who pointed out her African background, her Caribbean background, and her Indian background, and you said some racist shit, and I'm going to call it racist because you said that a black, Asian, multiracial woman, you called her out for saying that she was black, and that's fucked up. It's known as racist to tell black and brown people what they can call themselves. All right? And I know you're not a racist. I'm saying that was racist, though. You went there, and because I'm friends with you, I'm willing to talk it out. But I mean, so I voted Harris Biden, by the way, and I knew that, all right, I'm going to get the first person in the VP slot. That's a woman who has Asian, Indian, and African and Caribbean blood all at once, which I actually do myself. Have Indian blood, African blood mostly, all kinds of blood. There's some French in there somewhere. We're all mutts from the Caribbean. My sister is, her mom's half Indian. So I have Indian people, blood relatives. And so I embraced Kamala Harris and said, wow, this is fantastic. Besides agreeing with, 90% of her politics, not all, I said, this is great. Somebody that looks like me in leadership. Sorry, that's fucking important. I know the answer is, well, I don't see race and I don't see color. You're turning this into color. Yes, I am. Because we don't see leaders enough in a supposedly diverse country that look like us. We had a president, but we have, one black senator on one side of the aisle, and there's no women, black female senators right now that Kamala is not a senator. I mean, that's how thin on the ground it is, bro. Women are 51% of our population. They should be pretty close to that in our Senate, shouldn't they? So anyway, all of these things went into voting. So I'm not here to defend Joe Biden. He's a piece of crap on a dozen issues. His son, fucking cokehead, using his dad's name, running off to Russia, running off to China. I'm there with you, bro. I'll criticize him more than you, actually. So stop feeding me Biden shit like it's like I'm somehow going to be, put on my heels about it. Oh, Biden, don't insult Biden. Biden he's a fucking placeholder. He's a problem. So as a black man, for him to say, you ain't black unless you vote for me. Wow, that fucking stung, man. That son of a bitch. Really, bro? You old racist motherfucker. He ran every time as a senator in Delaware because I lived next state over in New Jersey. I remember him. I paid attention to politics 40 years ago. You might be surprised. And I remember he was one of the ones, he ran tougher on crime than the Republican. That was his kind of tagline. And he was. And so he advocated for I forget the years, but there was one in the late 80s and the mid 80s, the crime bills. He was big pusher of the first 2 that he voted on. And the third one he drafted in 94, right? The omnibus crime bill. That's the era of the Clintons and the super predators, and let's increase the laws for crack cocaine versus the same exact weight of powder cocaine. Biden's right there with all that shit. Okay? Didn't want his kids to go to a racial jungle, and, he's fucked up. Look, Kamala Harris, right? When she was running, early on, when there was the Democrat clown car, right? And they had like 24 people running. I think it was down to about 12. Remember that? She was debating him, and she said, she told that story of there was a little girl being bused to a different school, and I can't remember the rest, but the punchline was, and that little girl was me. And you, Senator Biden, you were, and she called him out, remember? So, I mean, look, there's no illusions. This fucking guy's, yeah. But the other guy is 10,000 times worse. That's how bad American politics is, that we got to pick someone like Biden. And that's the good news. But the other thing that Biden did, that I salute him all day long, that he promised he would do, was put together an administration that is simultaneously diverse, and he did do that, and progressive in a true sense, where the resume of all of his people, whether it's transportation or education or people he's put at Secretary of State or, it's a clean shot, man. You go down his whole administration, you have people with experience. Not like this jackass that was there before that people always trying to say, well, I want to see equal, let's be equal and hear both sides here, Andre. And you kind of do that sometimes. But, what? I don't have to hear the equal side of fucking Betsy DeVos, Secretary of Education, who never, ever had a job in education. It's fucking preposterous. Of course we did better getting that jackass lobbyist out of power, whose brother, of course, is Eric Prince from Blackwater, right? But here you have Betsy DeVos, who never, ever worked in a public school. I've worked more in public school than Betsy DeVos, right, as a substitute teacher. It's preposterous. We can go down the line of his energy secretary, all of his people. Other than defense and maybe two or three other positions, every single person that fascist sociopath, psychopath, pussy grabber put into his administration, every single one of them had no knowledge of the field they were now in charge of. At least I'm going to give Biden that he's got the first native person, Deb Haaland, right, in charge of Interior. He's got first openly gay man in charge of transportation, right, Buttigieg. He's got first openly trans person in Rachel Levine. I forget her exact position, but it's not Health and Human Services. I don't know. I just, our defense secretary, on and on and on. But you know what's funny? None of those are window dressing. None of those are just because they're black or just because they're Hispanic, Latino, Latina, Latinx. Every one of those people I mentioned, go check their resume. They've actually been clocking in, doing that kind of work for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. What a crazy concept. Hiring people that know something about the department they're going to run. It's fucking batshit crazy. I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. Yeah. And I have these joker friends that send me stuff. Not you, Christopher, but jokers that I know from New Jersey that still send me stuff. Let's see. The truck driver was black, but you didn't mention it because it might have been considered racist. No, it wouldn't be considered racist. That's on you. No one would say it's racist if you just said the truck driver was black. The trucker's story was true or false. The issue being claims Biden. Okay, whatever. It's just a rabbit hole. Let's see. Yes, it's embarrassing we don't have healthcare, safe workshops, and food safety. Yeah, it's true. It's we need to do that. 100 countries are laughing at us. Yeah, Kevin, you're right. We can't justify their criminal actions and behavior. Right, we're also from Jersey. That's true, Gus. We were right next door, weren't we? We tried to warn the other 49 states or 40 states or so. Anyone in Connecticut and New York and New Jersey knew this guy. We were tired of him for years. But you know what happened? Most people only learned of him from The Apprentice, So it's one of the dangerous things of that kind of looking at that idiot box and finding someone or learning about someone. People just knew, and there's this sense of, oh, he's a plucky entrepreneur, right? So, To pull it back, cold coffee. To pull it back to food, as I always do, that guy, whose name I never say, if I can help it, he couldn't even sell red meat to Americans. Remember that? His steaks failed. It had his name, Twitler Steaks. He couldn't sell those. He couldn't sell red meat to Americans. He tanked that idea. Wow, just to bring it back to food. Hey, pretty good, right? Meatless Monday. This is a callback. We're talking about meat again. Talking about Twitler Steaks. How do you fail that? Oh my God, wrap your mind around that. Wrap your mind around that. You have access to a massive supply chain, advertising chain. You have a brand name, admittedly connected to your failed casinos and your failed hotels and all that. But you couldn't sell meat to Americans. I think that's great, man. It's fucking great. Kevin says could not sell water. Yeah, that's true. Celine is waiting for a Turk or someone from Middle Eastern descent. Yeah, that's it. Yep. Totally valid. I think there's a couple people of Middle Eastern descent in our house, right? In the House of Reps, right? What's her name? Oh boy, she's always in trouble. Ilhan Omar is, she's African descent, right? Isn't she? Oh my God, something's in my eye. Is she Somali or So you have someone of Muslim descent who is, she's born in Mogadishu, Somalia, 39 years old. So I know you said Turkish, but just to say that we do have someone from that from the Levant kind of part of the world that is in the House of Reps. I think there's someone else though. I remember, there's a Keith somebody. What's that guy's name? Rashida Tlaib is Muslim. Andre Carson. Keith Ellison, that's what I'm thinking about. Right. He was the first Muslim in Congress. He converted in 1982, but Minnesota. But no, to your point, and Rashida Tlaib is Palestinian. She's a Palestinian immigrant family, so born here, but yeah, I'm all for it. Let's have someone. Look, if we are a melting pot country, then we're a melting pot country, and we need to really push back on these people, who, quite frankly, are white supremacists. They're open about it. Why shouldn't we be open about responding to them? They are proud to say we are white supremacists. When you watch the videos that are snuck out or things like that, So, but thanks for bringing that up, Celine. And in fact, I didn't know this. I just pulled it up. I put the link there. This is Turkish Heritage website. Congressman Steve Cohen. His grandfather was born in Turkey. Representative Virginia Fox. She has Turkish American grandchildren, so she has Turkish family by marriage. So again, this is not people born there, but just saying, hey, we have some connections. Representative Ilana Rosletinen, I remember her. She's Republican from Florida. The other two were one's from North Carolina, one's from Tennessee, Democrat and Republican. So both sides of the aisle, we got some Turkish blood. Congressman Ileana from Florida, her grandparents, Turkish. Oh, here we go. Here's someone born. Oh, no, this grandfather again. Dan Morheim, who's a Democrat, 11th District, Baltimore, Maryland. His grandfather, born in Lüleburgaz, Turkey. So how about that? Thank you, Celine. I love learning something every day, and you learned me there. We have about 4 or 5 people with Turkish grandparents and heritage. So that's pretty cool. If we're a melting pot, we're a melting pot. So I'll put that in the chat. So Celine, why don't you run? Were you born in Turkey? That would be great if you ran and you became a House member. Descent. Just for kicks, we'll put that in there. And Turkey was one of the greatest places I ever ate. The Turkish vegetarian food. Wow. I'm trying to get someone from a new restaurant on. By the way, I'm not going to say much more about it, but I'm trying to get some more restaurant people on. So we got some guests coming up. And there's I always remember my time in Turkey with gusto, drinking some raki and eating all these delicious Middle Eastern vegan foods. To turn on a dime to encourage people, I say this as often as I can. If you're trying to go vegetarian or trying to add some vegetarian food, look to other cultures, right? We talk about Thai food all the time. Someone had a Thai lunch before, Robin. I'm always saying, if you look at Italian food and Mexican food, Japanese food, you look around, you can always find very good vegan dishes around the world. Peruvian food, a lot of South American food that you think is only going to be meat-based. Here's something about Turkish food that's friendly for vegans. So this is sig kofte. Kofte, I've had kofte. All right, and it's made from Bulgur wheat and da-da-da-da. That looks delicious. You got your pickles and your fresh lemons and tomatoes and lettuce, which is always on the table in Turkey. I remember mint leaves and some red cabbage or some pickled turnips there. What's this one? Of course, baklava that we all love. So look around. Remind yourself that there's more plant-based food than we sometimes think about. And you have many, many options. It's not just celery sticks and tofu like your annoying uncle thinks. Baklava. And you can, a lot of baklava is made with oil instead of butter. Oh, there's one I love. I've had this, I didn't know the name of it, but I remember from the red color and those beans floating on top. Had this in Turkey. I was eating eggs at the time. I was in Turkey, I would say 10 years ago. Jeez. No, 12 years ago. And I would eat some organic eggs, or if I was traveling somewhere, I said, you know what? These are fresh eggs. These are local eggs. I'll have them, sure. And I still encourage eggs for people all the time. I do. And eggs are really a meatless food, especially if you get unfertilized eggs. But I remember this. I remember being at a Turkish breakfast place, and this was what they brought, like brunch time, 10 and 11 in the morning. Oh, man, that was good. Like a delicious kind of a vegetable omelet and a bowl of this stuff. Wow, folks. Garlicky, hot, a nice umami with the tomatoes and oil and different spices and onions in there. Yeah. Gözleme. Kuru fasulye. Sorry, Celine, I'm butchering your beautiful language. Oh, the eggplants that they do. That's another thing in Turkey and all around the Mediterranean countries. Eggplant. They find a million beautiful ways to have them. And this, I definitely had something that looked like this. They had baby eggplants. They were much smaller, but it was a similar idea. So this one's eggplant stuffed with onions, tomatoes, herbs, and spices. Damn. I love these names, though. It's called Imam Bayildi, which translates to the Imam fainted. That's because the Imam fainted once his wife confessed to using all the olive oil to make one dish. But then he tasted how delicious the meal was and fainted. I love that. I love those kind of stories. What's this? This looks like some kind of deep fried nugget. Okay, lentil kofte, right? Lentil balls, basically. Yep. I've seen that. I've had that. Oh, it's making me hungry for turkey. And of course, dolma, stuffed grape leaves, stuffed vine leaves, different names, whether they're from Italy or Morocco or Greece or Turkey or Armenia, whether they're from Iran, Iraq, Israel. One of the best, most delicious, quick little finger foods, right? Again, hopefully, folks, this gives you some ideas. Run out and get some of this stuff tonight. Almost everywhere in America, we have the bonus of having Middle Eastern restaurants, Middle Eastern, and they're often Turkish or they're Greek or they're Armenian, they're Israeli, they're Egyptian, they're Moroccan. What's beautiful is they all kind of overlap. You're gonna see lemons and olives and grape leaves. You're gonna see foods with eggplants and tahini and all these things. You're gonna have many varieties on hummus and baba ganoush and all that. Yes, if you eat flesh food and you're just doing one meatless day a week, they have lamb and chicken dishes and all that stuff. A lot of fish dishes, roasted fish dishes. Of course they do. But they have such an amazing plant-based cuisine that it's one of my favorite and longtime go-tos. I was talking before about being a young vegetarian at 18. That was one of the first things when I found out about tabbouleh. I went crazy. I used to buy a box mix of tabbouleh and just make it at home. What's this one? This is asile esme. Esme. I remember esme. Okay. Yeah, all these words come back. I don't remember the first word. Asile esme. I remember esme though. Look at that. It's a spicy side dish, right? And that's a lot of red pepper in there, making it red. Man, this takes me back to an amazing meal. It was actually an older Armenian lady, but she was in Turkey, as many Armenians are. And 3 of us on the tour were vegetarian, vegan. It was the Adrian Belew tour. Water, thank you. And this woman she made a little chicken for Adrian. Adrian loves all kinds of food, so he tried all these different dishes. She just had some chicken for him. He said it was delicious, some roasted chicken with all the spices and stuff. But the other, I'm going to say, the other 22 dishes that just kept coming out, you're looking at it right here, was all these kind of things, these little platters and stuff like that. Just simple roasted corn, roasted asparagus, artichoke hearts, and all these things that you're seeing. Yeah, wonderful breads. Wow, look at this one. This is, what's that called? Simit. It's a bread ring, okay? Kind of like a pretzel, right? Every culture's got something like that. Many cultures do. Oh, I remember those peppers too. Very Turkish, those long peppers. Just a mild heat, very flavorful. Had a lot of soup in Turkey, a lot of soup. And that was amazing too. Everywhere we went, and people spoke perfect English where we were, and we had guides and production people taking us around. But everywhere we went, we were able to have pure, completely vegetarian soups. You know, it's cheaper when you're in a country with an agrarian culture and a real, tight economy. You learn how to make things with beans and parsley and celery and potatoes and tomatoes and peppers and beans and peas and spices and thyme and oregano, and you become centuries of masterful creative cooking comes out of that. Oh, that looks so good. I remember some soups just like that. Korba, yeah, korba just means soup, so it's going to be a whole bunch of different ones. Lentils, yep, and they have 100 different types of lentils. You go to those beautiful markets in a place like Turkey, and it's you can't believe that many beans and lentils exist. Every color of the rainbow. So they turn it into different stuff. What's this? Green beans with like dill or something? This is zeytinyağlı, which is olive oil. So this is green beans. Okay. It's a bunch of different stuff. Appetizer. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like olives and green beans. Looks delicious though. I'm in. I love finely chopped parsley and dill and all that. This is like a bulgur dish. Kisir. Yep, bulgur rice. Whatever that might be. That's just wheat, right? Bulgur wheat. Tomatoes, onions, olives, all kinds of stuff. Kisir. Look at that. So a nice little grain protein there, but always the beautiful presentations too. So there you go. I just kind of, that's how I roll. Whatever topic takes us in the direction. It's all roads leading to the same thing, folks. I'm still excited about the amazing kaleidoscope of plant-based food. It blows my mind. Almost 40 years later, it blows my mind. to see it grow and to see people thrive with it. And even if you're not 100% vegetarian, that's fine. I'm still excited when people add one dish to their life and say, you know what? Wow, vegetarians, it's not just about cold tofu and celery sticks, to use that cliche. It's really, it's just encouraging to see what's happening with it now. And so a little bit of Turkish food there. Let's put that in the link. Let's put that link in the chat. So as I said, I'm working on some guests, but I'm going on tour soon, so we might not have any guests anytime soon. Oh, and a few people have messaged me and asked me. I am going to do the show. I'm on tour pretty soon. But you know what? The tour I'm on, which I'll put a link here, is there's the Made in Turkey. There's all those dishes I just spoke about. The tour I'm on, we're off every Monday. So you never know. I'll be sitting in a hotel room. I'm not going to make any promises, but on days off on tour, you want to rest and you're chilling out. So I will just look out for me on Mondays at 3 o'clock. There's the tour, folks. I just put the tour dates there. I'm going out as the keyboard and synthesizer tech for an amazing young musician called James Francis. And he's a real keyboard player. Unlike me, he's a fucking genius. This kid almost, right? I think he's not even 30. Wow, he's so badass. And he's like 27, 28. Really looking forward to hearing him play, to learning from this young man. Pat Metheny is somebody that I've listened to for decades, and really one of my favorite guitar players, composers, all that. Seen him perform many, many times. Met him a couple times as a fanboy, as I said. And I'm really, I'm mostly looking forward to working again. It's been two plus years, folks. That's the main headline here. God damn it. Every tour that's been pushed or canceled or postponed has been really depressing. I lost 5 tours last year. 5 tours. I can't even remember now. It's like another fucking movie. It was Brand X, Ricky Lee Jones, 2 Yes tours, and that was going to be the biggest one in my life. Now this one next week will be the biggest one in my life so far. But last year I was going to go out with Poison, Joan Jett, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue. I was going to be working for Poison. Man, I was looking forward to that. My first stadium tour was going to be Serious Bread. Oh man, and seeing all those wigs and spandex and ill-fitting concert gear and ill-advised high heels, and that's just the band. I mean, I'm not even talking about the audience, But I was looking forward to that, and what are you going to do? COVID took over, but so mainly I'm just psyched to be working again, and I cross my fingers that everything goes well. Which I have about 4 friends on other tours right now, and we cross our fingers every day, man. This shit is rough going out there. This is a very pro-science, pro-safety tour. Everyone's vaccinated. There's all kinds of real safety protocols and testing that's going on. The venues, and this is all public information. If you look on the tour dates and you look on Pat's social media, he and his team are making it really clear. It's a vaccine show. And of course, you got the people screaming and yelling and, you're discriminating, Pat. And nope, giving you a choice. You don't have to come to my show. You don't have to come to my show. I want to make it, nothing's 100% safe. That's the other funny thing with the conspiracy people. If it's not 100%, somehow it's a Fauci plot. No one ever said it was 100%. But what we want to do is raise the safety level. Just push it up as far as we can, as close to 100. And then that little bit of wiggle room, sure, someone's going to catch COVID. Sure, people are still going to die. Colin Powell died. Elderly people die. People with heart disease, sure, it's going to happen. It's mind-blowing to hear these people like almost rejoice when a vaccinated person catches it. See, I told you so. It doesn't work. Wow, that is the most knucklehead bullshit I've ever heard. It really is. Because from day one, they told us nothing's perfect, folks. Nothing's perfect. These vaccines will work up to a level of tolerance, and they depend on some other things. You still have to maintain safety, do this, do that. And if you're comorbid, ooh, boy, good luck, right? So if you're obese, which I'm right on the edge of that, I got to lose some weight, I'm, pondering a booster. I should, But if you have heart disease or you're recovering from cancer, or you have COPD, there's a long list of stuff. If you're immunosuppressed, lupus, MS, any of these syndrome X diseases where your immune system is compromised, which is, wow, a massive chunk of America, which is why our numbers are also so bad. Hard to find an American that doesn't have one of those comorbidities, right? So having said that, it's it's refreshing to see a real science-oriented, safety-oriented bunch of tours going out there. And I've got friends. I got friends that work for Dream Theater. I got friends that work for a friend of a friend works for Kiss. So I'm hearing news from that tour. I've got a friend right now out with the band Twiddle. I got friends who work for Fish. I got friends who are doing local production in Ohio and Georgia and in Illinois, all around the place. So I got my ear to the ground. I'm checking out what's happening on tours. I got a friend who plays with David Byrne, so I'm checking out. Well, how are they doing it? They're staying in one spot. I think the shows might be done, but they were doing a run of shows on Broadway. David Byrne, right, with his new thing that he's been doing for a year or two. Beautiful looking show. They're all wireless, playing drums, playing all these instruments. Nothing's on stage. Everyone's dressed in same clothes and they're dancing and singing. My buddy is one of the drummers, and I'm hearing about all the things they're doing. Super tight security. There's no more hanging around, meet and greets. Here's my buddy from college. Come back to have some beers. That shit's gone. There ain't none of that. Visits from strangers, hugs from, so you do that. You get rid of all that stuff. And so, I'm looking at crossing my fingers, being as safe as I can. But I will definitely do Meatless Monday at some point, one of these Mondays. So, all right, we're going to wrap up here. And I got some comments. Okay, good. Y'all are, oh wait, I got to make sure I go to my YouTube people. Sorry, YouTubers. I should just keep the screen open, but then I go searching articles and shit. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you there's one person on Twitter today. Oh, good. There's a couple comments. Derek Schulten, who has been kicked off of Facebook, right? John Francis. Oh, thank you, John, for answering. I didn't stick around long to see your answer. John's eating fish and eggs. More sushi now than ever. That's great. Sashimi, right? The fish part. I'm pedantic about that. Yeah. The sushi is the vinegared rice, the pickled stuff. That's great, though. I applaud you. That I support. If more people just did that, and we push towards sustainable fishing and eggs that are free range and all that, and cost a little bit more, which I know you look for all that stuff. Fantastic, bro. Derek says it's not like that movie where living people start. Okay, that's true. Derek, today lunch: meatless sausage, eggless breads, eggless eggs, and some. There's a bear sighting on my street. I'm looking outside, the door's open. This show could end very badly, because my door's open. You hear the birds. Frank Bellina, only way you can watch on your phone. Okay, awesome. Good to see you, Frank Bellina. Thank you for always jumping in, Frank, on those threads too. Frank, by the way, that guy who, I'll end on that note, even though I don't want to. That guy who said to me, I'm blacker than you. And when white people say that shit, and there's some kind of weird narrative of like they lived in a black neighborhood and they don't see color and all this kind of weird juggling of their racial issues, it's always peculiar. And I call them out on it. So there's this guy who said, I'm blacker than you. And he's kind of a denier of science. He always puts these absurd things about, you're all quacks, this kind of stuff. So Frank, you know who I'm talking about. He just unfriended me because thank you. You responded to him at his nonsensical stuff about the vaccine. I was just talking about it actually, how appropriate. His seemingly just cannot understand that no one ever said the vaccines were 100%. We got to say this every day, I guess, because their pushback is, it wasn't 100%. Right. No one ever said that. So anyway, you went after him. I appreciate that. And now he's unfriended me because I just described him. I called him out for saying racist shit. Anyway, no one got time for that. Derek Schulten, you're watching me on PS4. That's awesome. Buffalo Brown, yes, the onion recall. Yes, I did. Thank you, Buffalo Brown. I'm forgetting who that is. But I did a whole section. In fact, I started on the onions, the Salmonella. Yeah, red, white, and what's the third type of onion? I don't know. Sweet onion, whatever it was. But yeah, we talked about it, and I even identified that they got it narrowed down with their forensic detective work. And the fact that we have a good system. It's not perfect. It's got issues. But we have enough of a system that when something I'm bringing this up because there's so many parallels to what's going on for public health with the vaccines, with the recommendations for masking, with these distancing rules, if we want to look in the aggregate over the last 18 months. There's a real parallel here, folks, with these onions being recalled. And I want you to run with this. Our system's not perfect. Our system's filled with mistakes and grafts and all kinds of stuff. America is a complicated, big, complex calendar machine flying in the sky. Some shit doesn't work, but some shit kind of works, okay? And some shit pretty much works. One of them is our rickety CDC, FDA, and our relationship with international health organizations. And so something like this where someone gets sick, it's identified to be bad onions. We have a system. People spring into action. We use modern technology, testing, science, biology, our knowledge of biochemistry. We test things. We figure out, hey, there's this bacteria in these. It seems like it's onion. They go to some stores, they get the stuff, and they test, and they go, oh my God, yes, it's these onions. We've now got a smoking gun. They expand the search, and they start realizing, oh yes, these same onions now in 6, 8, 10, 50 locations, dangerous level of, so the word goes out. We have a system. And within a day or two, we find out, don't eat those onions, folks. And then they even are able to trace it back to the exact suppliers and the exact farm. Why is that? Because we have a system. Because the man is tracking and using computers, using data, using records, right? Using those barcodes have a lot of information on them. They're tracking me, dude. They're not tracking you, man. No one cares about your hippie bullshit. No one cares. And your phone's on the grid anyway. We talk about this all the time. The irony of somebody holding one of these and typing the words, I don't want the government to track me. They're doing it on their Twitter accounts. It's like I said before, my favorite quote, this started as a pandemic and turned into an IQ test. The cognitive dissonance of somebody using the web to say they don't want to get tracked it's of staggering proportions. It just really is. So that's where we are. So anyway, I'm glad they found out about the onion stuff. And usually when we mention the onion, it's some satirical shit. Kevin Feely, how are you, my friend? Greetings to you too. Derek has a Yugoslavian cookbook that his brother-in-law gave him before the shit went down with that insane detector. Yeah, Yugoslavia. I've been in that area once. Serbia, Kosovo, all those. I can't keep track of which one was which. But it was beautiful. And again, amazing food. That part of the world. Celine says, Celine wasn't born in Turkey. Okay, born in New York and you have dual citizenship. Good to have dual citizenship. I got to work on my other passport. I came close to getting it a couple years ago down in Guyana where I was born. And I needed one more day to get one more piece of paperwork. Damn it. So, but always good to have that other passport because when the shit goes down, right, you could be online arriving in some country and you look at your phone and you're like, oh shit, some shit went down. Let me take my U.S. passport, put it right there. Get my other passport. Hi, go to the other aisle, right? I'm not an American. Yeah, that's going to be very useful. Let's see. Oh boy, a lot of comments to catch up with, and then I'm out of here. Wow, you guys kicking some science, Kevin Ritchie. Thank you, Kevin. You're right. It's all about the money. All right, let me quickly go through these. I actually saw that one. Keith Ellison, right, the Attorney General. That's right. And you live 10 miles from Rep Omar. That's great. She's got a couple complicated things, but I'm generally a fan. But she's got a couple things that are a little tricky. A covered woman in the house is awesome. It's interesting at the very least. Yes, it's great though. I love that we have all cultures. Got to take it off to take a picture on a license. That's kind of where my line is. When I see those articles that people are fighting to keep their face covered for a license, like that's right where my line is. I'm just like, no, we have to have identification. It's how societies work. But yeah, cover up the other 99.9% of your life. It's fine. And again, those are the issues I love, like those borderline issues where it's like, where do you fall? I fall with functionality, and we have a pluralistic society here, but we've all got to agree on the stuff that makes shit run. And one of them is clearly being able to be identified on government ID. So so the covering, yeah, all for it except for your license. Mr. Chunk, okay, noisy pineapple. Yeah, okay. Gonna miss these chats. Well, like I was just saying, I'll be here. There'll be something on Mondays, so no worries. You're not covered or you practice. Yeah, that's great. I agree too. I have people in my family, actually cousins, and sure, I've got a cousin whose wife covers, and that's great. I love her, and it's fine. Let's see. Yeah, Turkish food is awesome. Kazandibi. I don't know what that is. That sounds good. Celine, maybe you can, share with us some more of the Turkish favorites. Because I remember when you started watching this show, you were saying, man, I got to start digging into my Turkish culture and find some of the meatless stuff. Sounds like you're doing great. And you have all these things that you've, added in. Asili esmi, spicy paste. Right, I've bought that. That reminds me. Yeah, I bought a jar of that, and I remember the name Esme. I love that. All my condiments in the fridge are like things like Chinese chili and sesame oil and Turkish stuff and Peruvian green stuff, and I love it. Yes, olive oil is kiss here. It's similar to tabbouleh, yeah. All right. No, that's. Oh, we have a Turkish day. I think I have some baba ganoush actually from this place that I'm gonna put as my closing link today. Yes, ill-advised heels. The tour dates. Yes, those are the tour dates. Tour dates are all on the website. Um, let's see, and ba, 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 da, da, ba. So yeah, I'm gonna go and have a salad and uh some baba ganoush, and I'm gonna leave that link. One more link here, just because we're celebrating Mediterranean food again, which I'll do every week gladly. So this is my dear friend Susie Salawa Phillips. She's American. I think she was born in America, but Lebanese background. And that's important because she brings those food to us right from her mom, right from her grandmother. And she has two amazing restaurants. One called Gypsy Queen, the other one called Simple. And so I stuck that link there, and y'all can check that out. I know there's a handful of people from Asheville, and Aaron was here earlier, and of course Christopher's here in Asheville. I'm sure he knows about this, and a few other people. But really awesome. There's a food truck. It's 99% vegetarian. They have one little chicken thing that they do on the truck. Look at some of this food. Again, that Middle Eastern part of the world, the Levant part of the world, is just beautiful with these breads and these, fruits and vegetables. There's Susie. She's, somewhere in there. All right, we had a picture. But, yeah, she's got this food truck that goes all around. And it's there's Susie right there on the left, laughing with some happy people, eating some happy after having a nice meal. Really awesome, and it feels so great to connect with her and support her amazing local food. So if you ever come to Nashville, go check it out. And again, she's got one or two meat items in the actual restaurant. I think there's lamb, but on the truck it's just chicken. But then she's got, look at that, she's got the not lamb shawarma. I mean, she leans in hard on the plant-based situation. You can see right on the left there, not lamb shawarma. She does a seitan, deliciously marinated in all these sauces and garlic and oil. House-made seitan, 7-spice, vegan mint cucumber sauce, toum, lettuce, tomato. So good. And there's vegan desserts. Really awesome because she I've talked to her about it many times, and her philosophy is, you know what? I really don't have to do much to make things vegan from my culture. They're just about there. Once in a while, I'm using a vegan yogurt instead of a milk yogurt. Once in a while, I'm using an oil instead of a butter. And then that's it. And like I said, other than just the chicken and the in the restaurant, she does have those meats. But on the truck, it's just one chicken dish. But she really goes in hard on things like Beyond Meat, and the falafel is, of course, vegan already. So it's really, really, really inspiring. And I know many of you are far away, but I'll leave you with this to maybe be inspired to try some Middle Eastern food. We've seen two angles on it. The Turkish, as well as now the Lebanese, and just really some of my favorite food. And I'm gonna go eat some of this favorite food right now. You have the links if you happen to. And you can find a place where you live that does this food. Like I said, it's one of the things that we find in just about every city. Certainly every city that's got a college, right? It's like definitely college food. All right, folks, we're just under the 3-hour mark. That's as much as I'm doing today. Thank you so much for stopping by. See you soon, and